I'm snaking. I don't even know how I would snake any of them. How would I snake any of these people in question? Wasn't dishonest or lie or anything. Um, did you and Clyde fall out about Naruto vs Ichigo? No, that's cringe. Stop being cringy. I'm not gonna lose a friend over like 7 years because of fucking anime. Like, you gotta get over that. Yeah, I don't lie to people. Like, I'm not like snaky. I'm very like when it comes to my relationships with people, I always tell people like what I think and how I feel and all those things. I'm never like, if I don't like you, you can just like tell. You know what I mean? So no, I'm not snaky at all. That's very disingenuous to say. Especially people that have known me in public. You know me in the old Discord servers or anything. If I didn't like you, you would just know, bro. Like, it was just wildly apparent. So no, I never snaked anybody or anything like that. Sometimes things just don't work out. You know what I mean? For many different reasons. So we do need Clyde versus Swag, man.
Oh,
But I'm not close to Clyde anymore, so I can't instigate it. Like, I would not have helped Clyde and Chuck make a career. I could have done everything I've done now without any of those losers. So
That podcast is not happening. That shit is not happening, bro. That shit is not happening. Hey, that shit ain't happening, bro. All I'm gonna say, bro, it's not me. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not me. I can show receipts for this shit. All I can say is that I tried. Nobody can blame it on me. I would be worried about anyone blaming on me if I didn't have the fucking like evidence to back up that it's not me. I'm just saying, if it comes to like that, I have to prove it's, you know, who did what. I can just prove it wasn't me. Actually, hold on. Let me delete this community tab post because I'm not sure that shit is happening anymore. It would be a miracle if that podcast happens at this point.
So, a lot of you have probably noticed by now that Seth the Programmer and I do not collaborate on content, follow each other on any social media, stream together anymore, and whenever Naruto vs Ichigo is brought up on my streams, I either avoid the topic, direct people to Seth, or hide people from my Twitch chat when they spam questions in regards to the project. Well, for those of you unaware, Seth and I have not spoken in voice chat since January of 2022. You may be thinking to yourself, there seems to be a pretty common trend with Seth. Another one of his friends is now not associated with him. Well, this isn't the first time this has happened, or the second for that matter, when it comes to us too. But no one has really known about our association beyond just YouTube formality in public. All of the stuff in this video has been kept a secret, mostly because I thought he and I could just move on, do our YouTube stuff, and be adults. But just like every other time, where we've had drama like this, or he's deleted or blocked me, or cut me off for any random drop of the hat reason, he just can't stop himself from talking about me, my friends, or his own quote-unquote friends, on his streams, his videos, or anywhere else. And with the very clear recent spiral of his mental health, which can be seen by his sporadic tweets and the stuff that he says on his streams, also the threats about doing something to the community and then other little shots here and there that he pops at me on stream all the time, my hand has been forced. Trust me when I say I did not want to have to make this video. Along with that though, there are channels popping up spreading drama about Seth that I wasn't even aware of, and I have a suspicion that he is going to attempt to throw me under the bus to avoid any criticism for his handling of the Naruto vs Ichigo project, which I will get into in this video. I'm going to get very in-depth about that because you guys deserve to know the truth in regards to that project. I've known Seth since November of 2016. I initially reached out to him after watching some YouTube videos on how to grow your YouTube channel, and the best method suggested was to make friends with creators of the same style of content and to try and have sort of a community to help each other thrive. You've no doubt seen countless YouTube circles that bounce off one another like this, and this in turn did actually happen because I reached out to Seth on Twitter. He replied to me, we started talking through DM, and in truth, I actually enjoyed his content. And a few months before this, I had met Swag Kage, whom I connected with Seth, and then the next thing you know, we had our community, where we'd collaborate, and we were all pretty much known as the main three, with Chuck being Seth's old friend that covered Dragon Ball and would make debunk related content with him. Now, I want to preface before I get into this video that, although Swag Kage and I haven't really talked very much in the past 2 years, or collabed, this has been mostly due to Seth's manipulation of Swag behind the scenes. Ever since he and I had drama in 2018, that's Seth I'm talking about, he wanted me to be as far away from Swag Kage as possible, because he knew that if I could talk to Swag, that I could show him what was going on behind the scenes. What Seth did was try to instigate debates with us all the time, lie when I was not in call with them, and various other bad things which has taken place over the course of the past few years. So for those of you who are curious why I don't collab with Swag, well, there's your answer. Now, I'm going to show Swag Kage something here in this video that's definitely going to get his attention. To say that I've been cooking in the past year would be a very big understatement.
He hurt me so bad. He fucked me up. He asked if I was on the spectrum.
Oh my god.
Which shit I might be, but he's like, this is a serious question, are you on the spectrum? And I said, what the f***, Seth? Like, I was crying at the time, but like, I'm glad we weren't calling, it was just through text. And, oh god, what else? He said that I was awful. And it was just horrible. He said I was disgusting.
I'm really... I'm genuinely with all my heart. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault. I did not deserve that. I did not deserve that. And I blocked him. Rightfully so. I blocked him. I was like, F you, I'm out.
Now, to give you guys some context as to how serious this situation could potentially be, well, Seth is the type who would willingly slander Swag Kage or I, and anything we've told him in private, he would instantly tell the public about. It's just within his character to act this way. He will go so far to lie, and has even done so about things as serious as false rape allegations. You also may not know this, but Swag at the time was also worried, and he probably is now, because Seth had been secretly recording their private calls over the course of the months and years they knew each other, and has no doubt done so to me many a times without my knowledge or consent. I'm actually curious to see, after this video, what kind of weird stuff he has been recording, especially the out-of-context stuff that he's no doubt going to share. That being said, today I want to talk to you about something that many people have warned me against. I've heard about 5 different people I know tell me not to do this and to not risk it, as Seth's channel is too large and you'll just get bullied by his audience when he replies or twists the situation, which he will do, as I watched him do it right next to me during the satire stream, where he was accused of asking an underage girl for nudes, flirting with an underage boy, and it was insane to watch how easily people believed his lies because they only know the personality they see in his videos or streams. I'm not kidding, and I don't mean to say this in a humorous way, but for the longest time, it legitimately felt like Geen watching Aizen do some pretty fucked up shit. And the closer I got with Seth over the years, the more I started to question my own morals with supporting the stuff he was doing. The satire stuff as an example, I only knew what I was told by him at the time, and I went onto that stream to defend him as any good friend would do. Which he has rarely done so for me in such a selfless way, apart from financial assistance. I kind of feel in retrospect that it was a bad idea to blindly support him, but you'll understand why I did more as you watch the video. The more that I've come to learn about the satire situation and other things, the more I've come to be more worried about his real self. I want to say this very clearly, if you follow Seth or I, and you enjoy our content and have a certain image of us that you think we're like in real life, please listen when I say, have an open mind and hear what I have to say. Do you think I would drop this video out of nowhere for absolutely no reason? If you are someone that's excited for Naruto versus Ichigo, and you want to know the truth about that too, then make sure you listen to what I have to say in this entire video, because as most of you know, that project was a project that was initially involving us too. And it's quite wild because there's actually a lot of people that don't know I was the co-host of that project, because he would always try to take the credit for it. Well, to give you further insight on that, many of you don't know, but Seth secretly cancelled it on more than one occasion. And by doing so, he also scammed a lot of fans out of money too, and then lied about it on stream.
He said, is Naruto vs. Ichigo canceled? If not, why is the Patreon page is gone? I already talked about this. What do you mean it's sus, bitch? I talked about this on stream 4 times. The f*** you talking about, sus, you dumbass motherfucker?
Jesus.
Anyone that watches my stream would know I've already talked about canceling it. What? I literally made a Patreon post for a month straight saying it was. Bitch. What? That's pretty sus, man. Shut the f*** up. What are you talking? I wasn't hiding it.
What's with the, like, what would be sus anyway? Isn't it yours? Like, weren't you paying for
Right?
it?
Acting like I made money off of that, bruh. What the hell? Y'all think I made money from that? What do you mean sus, you dumbass?
Nah,
Shut the f up.
bro,
Freeload.
this killed me. This killed me. Nick started a GoFundMe to do the animation themselves.
Yeah, like, nah, it's not gonna happen. If it has to happen again, it has to be paid for by me. There's no way.
Like, bro, they were asking for $127,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you random ass aren't getting that, bro.
Yeah, Simon.
Bro, this nigga, the dick eating is insane, bro. You see this nigga's comment? I told the people who batter, YouTube viewers don't batter, as if your entire career didn't come from YouTube viewers.
Bro, I don't look. I say that to your face. I hate y'all. I do. I hate you, and I've said it since day one. I call y'all for giving me money. I pack you on site. All we do is just talk each other. You hate me, I hate you. It's a mutual hate relationship. That's just how it is.
So
It's always been that way.
Thanks for the 20, my nigga.
I literally sit here call you my son. Look at Geets' dumb again. Coming in, $20. Like, oh, it's like clockwork. I don't give a
Chill out on Geets, bro. Chill out on my nigga Geets. But
I love Geets, but he's and I'll say that straight up.
Now, after this little stream clip where Seth is getting nervous at being questioned about what happened to the project, Seth then goes on to lie about how much the project actually made by claiming it only made $1,000.
How much is one guy's salary? The Patreon didn't even make as much as you think remotely. I think the Patreon was only like 1K.
Oh, no.
That's what I mean. The Patreon's only like 1K, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
That's nothing.
Yeah, it's really not that high. Like, people over-exaggerate, I think. And like, dude, so not only was the Patreon like only like around 1K, but like there's like 10 people in my like Discord server that were like $100 donos. You know what I mean? So like those guys pretty much paid for the whole thing themselves of the Patreon. You know what I mean? So,
bro.
Yeah.
So in this screenshot here, where he's talking to me directly after we had advertised the Patreon, he confirms it made around $10,000, which directly goes against what he was saying, and if anyone's going to know the amount that the Patreon had, it's going to be us too, considering we were the ones working on the project. And I got some other stuff to show you guys, so enjoy these little recordings from two of the people who supported the project in the Patreon, who both donated over $2,000 themselves.
And then on stream, when he was like, oh yeah, the Patreon hardly got any money, I was like, bruh. Me, Billy, freaking Thomas Azrael White, like, we all put in a ton of money in this. Like,
How much?
You guys...
How much did you
Like,
contribute? Because you used to have a pretty frequent, like, you had a consistent job at that time, didn't you?
Yeah, I was working warehouse, working like 90-hour weeks. I was busting my ass.
How much do you believe you contributed altogether? Like, what did it accumulate to?
At least 2K?
Yeah, it's similar to what Billy donated by himself. It's funny because Seth claims that in total it made about $1,000. There's a screenshot I actually found where he verbatim states that within the first few months it made $10,000, which directly goes against what he said on stream.
Yeah. It's just like, you like went at it, and then when he said, yo, it didn't make any money, like, his next stream, I was in there calling him out, and I was like, yo, like, what the fuck? Why the fuck are you lying to your fans? Like, why are you being a rat? And he just never answered. I was like, this
Towards Naruto versus Ichigo, I didn't donate into Patreon because I quickly left the Patreon once I realized it was bullshit and you weren't actually getting anything.
Okay.
So I was just donating to him directly for the Naruto vs Ichigo project.
And what do you think that accumulated to?
Around $2 to $3 grand. If I'm lowballing, $2 grand.
Here's a screenshot of him saying that, as it stands right now, he doesn't even care. He's just going to make the project for money. But we're going to get more into that in the video because you guys need some context on this situation. The result of this video will be false drama spread about me. His larger audience aren't going to listen to me, regardless of the massive preponderance of evidence that I'm going to show in the video. Seth will no doubt lie about me and 100% try to come after me beyond just a YouTube response or a response on his Twitch. I will absolutely have people come after me that don't know the nuance of the situation, especially people that he has lied to, and so on and so forth. And blah blah blah, there's so many bad things that could come out of this. But here's the thing. Outside of YouTube, I have literally nothing to lose. So one thing I won't do is allow myself to be a scapegoat for this sociopathic rat fuck. I also implore anyone out there who has known Seth for many years, especially before this YouTube stuff, to make your voices heard and to share this video. I bet there's drama out there about Seth that hasn't seen the light of day because of how intimidated people are to expose him. Don't worry though, I'll do what everyone else is too scared to do or has failed at in the past. Believe me when I say, for a long time I did consider Seth one of my closest, if not my best friend, and I have many good memories of us, especially all the times we watched TV shows together, had streams together, made some fire-ass videos together, played games in private, spent times having some very deep conversations. There are many things that I can look back on and say those were good times with him, but sadly, you guys don't even know a smidgen of the bad shit that happened behind the scenes. I could actually tell that part of him did enjoy our dynamic together, but there was always something about him that made me very careful around him, especially with what I would tell him about myself. Even people from the Google Plus days that knew Seth a lot longer than I did all warned me to be very careful with staying friends with him. This was a place that Seth had spent a lot of time in before the YouTube and Discord stuff really popped off. But I want to give you some context as to my situation before I became friends with Seth. During the end of 2016, I was living with my grandmother after moving out of a very abusive household, which I was in since around 5 years old. I witnessed violence almost every single day, drug use. I was abused myself so much to the point that when I would walk home from school, I would literally pray that it would be a normal day when I would get home. I couldn't even complete my schooling or go to university, which was an aspiration of mine. As I turned around 17, 18, I wanted to do journalism and that just fell through completely. It was so bad actually that I remember when I was around 18 years old that I literally cried because I wasn't able to be accepted into a single university because I didn't complete my high schooling. Obviously, I should have known at the time, but that's how important it was to me, and because of my home situation, I could never complete any schooling. I couldn't even pursue my initial inspirations of wanting to be in the AFL, which is the sport that we play in Australia. It's a very unique sport that we only play in our country, and couldn't pursue that because of my childhood too. I even experienced my stepfather beating my mother countless times when I was younger, especially at times when I was too young to help. Trying to strangle her to death in her sleep, which I could actually hear from my bedroom while I'd be lying in bed petrified. And much, much more all around from the ages of 5 to 18, and I've rarely ever spoken about this on stream or in videos. In fact, not many people know anything about my childhood. They just think I'm an asshole that streams and talks to people and that I had an easy childhood, but it was, it couldn't be further from the truth. Maybe one day in the future I'll explain all this in a video, but just know that's just a small bit of it, and yeah, my life up to this point has not been a fun experience, that's for sure. From 2015 to December of 2016, I had a girlfriend that I would say was the closest thing that I had to family my entire life. Someone I legitimately would have died for if I had to at the time. It's cringe to say this, but I do want to lay out how important this person was to me because it's very pivotal to this story and how I met Seth and just that whole time period in general. I've been through some bad stuff and have lost a lot in life, but this legitimately destroyed me as a person for many years. No one had treated me like she did at the time, and at the time I took it for granted. Honestly, without giving myself an excuse, a lot of it was because of my past bad experiences, and I really did take it for granted. After a year with this individual, they had left me completely in around December of 2016, and this was a month into already being friends with Seth. Throughout this time period, Seth and I would have some pretty deep conversations, and it was good to have a friend at the time to talk to that actually listened. Seth honestly didn't tell me anything that I didn't already know. I already knew the scope of the situation, and that's what made me even more depressed, but I did appreciate having him to talk to about this stuff. That's what mattered to me. That being said, my mental health and my physical health became really bad. Almost everything about me started to go downhill, as if my body was in this weak, dying state because I was that depressed. I wrote 3-page suicide notes. I researched the easiest way to essentially commit toaster and bath, and I even bought medication specifically to overdose on. At the time too, I also kept messing up quite a lot because I had a undiagnosed case of anxiety, which I then got diagnosed thanks to seeing a doctor and some psychologists. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't even get proper employment because I probably would have looked like a crazy person while working at the job. Losing this person put into perspective that I honestly didn't know what I had at the time, and it made me feel even more awful because the more I started to sit there and stew over how she was gone, the more that my life just was worse and worse. I was pretty much isolated to online life and doing nothing but just talking about which fictional drawing punches the other one harder in the face. This was an aspiration of mine to make these YouTube videos, but I can't lie and say that I wasn't having a bad time because this should have been some of the best years of my life when I was doing these collaborations, you know, with Swag and Seth and everybody, and it wasn't. It was horrible. If you actually listen to a lot of the tonality in my very older videos from like 2017 or even some of the ones from 2016 that you may hear at the end of the year, you can hear a very distinct difference in my voice. I don't sound very good. There was actually 2 times at the end of 2016 where I almost drank myself to death, and this was actually the goal of mine. I was trying to do it on purpose, one of which resulted in me waking up at a beach standing up. That's how blackout drunk I was the night before. I came back to reality pretty much standing up there, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Where am I? Like, I was that drunk that I was standing on a footpath near this beach called Eastern Beach, and I'm looking across, and I pull my phone out, and I'm trying to order an Uber, and I'm waiting for this Uber to come, and I'm still so drunk that it hasn't even been ordered. That's how out of it I was, and then I pretty much had what I assume was alcohol poisoning for multiple days afterwards. Like I said before, there's actually probably videos out there from around like the end of 2016 to the start of 2017 where I like on a whim uploaded some very depressing videos where I didn't have anyone to speak to, so I recorded a video and talked about my situation, which it's kind of sad that people might use something like that against me, but it's whatever, they exist, and it's a silly thing that I did at the time because that's how down I was. So there you go. As pathetic as it sounds, being left by this girl and knowing that I was replaced pretty much destroyed my self-confidence and my mental health. I didn't have anything at the time except a 3,000 subscriber YouTube channel, and I was someone that already had a lot of mental baggage because of my very violent childhood. To give you guys some more context too, I actually grew up with a schizophrenic mother and an abusive stepfather who had spent around 12 years in jail before he met my mother, so he himself was pretty mentally off too, and they were both not only chain smokers but alcoholics who would literally drink, and I'm not even kidding, an entire boxed wine satchel to themselves per day. And yeah, when I was around 3 years old, my father killed himself in our backyard by hanging himself off of a tree. As it stands right now, as I record this video, I live alone and I don't really have anyone to talk to from my family. I haven't actually spent Christmas with anyone for the past 5 years, and my birthdays have pretty much all been on stream with you guys. When 2017 rolled on in, I collabed with Seth and Swag a lot, and I developed anxiety disorder really hard. It was so bad that I used to get paranoid that I actually sounded crazy in these collaboration videos. Pretty much I'd be recording with Swag and Seth, or Chuck if we ever collab with Chuck, and I'd be, sitting there and I'd say my sentence, and then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, did I sound okay? Like, I had so much self-doubt in myself because of this development of anxiety disorder, which I didn't actually know what it was at the time, and if you guys deal with anxiety, you'll know that it's f***ing horrible. I'd rather be depressed till the day I die than deal with anxiety, if I had to choose one or the other, because anxiety is scary. I used to be in bed, freaking out to the point where I'd be scared to go to sleep each night. I wouldn't even want to go to bed because I didn't want to lie in bed and be so scared of my own self freaking out for no reason. That's how not only stressed I was, but how much in pain I was mentally. I was also at the time suffering pretty heavily from something called sleep apnea for many years, and I didn't even know I actually had this, but it was making my mental health way worse. Sleep apnea, for those of you who don't know, essentially means that your tongue and your throat blocks your airway when you sleep, so you snore so intensely that you suffocate for seconds, and this pretty much leads to brain damage, excessive tiredness, and can cause things like strokes, heart attacks, memory loss, blood pressure problems. My anxiety and mental health was being amplified by this, and I had no idea. I just thought, man, I just have this really bad habit of waking up with headaches all the damn time. Like, maybe it's a response from, you know, how much I look at screens all day, like I've got eye strain or something like that, and it's giving me headaches from staying up too late, but apparently it wasn't. It was actually because I'd been dealing with this snoring problem since I was like maybe 15 to 17 years old, and I had no idea this whole time. The reason that I started to notice that this was definitely sleep apnea was because I actually woke up choking on my own saliva multiple times, and people who had heard me sleeping would say that if I slept on my back, they could hear me literally snoring like an old man, and it would pause for multiple seconds, like sometimes 10 seconds I would go without breathing and then snore and then go again. Mix this in with being suicidal because you pretty much have nothing, and it's the perfect recipe to be taken advantage of. For example, to explain a bit more about Seth, because so far it probably sounds like, wow, he's such a helpful good guy, he was there for you during the worst time of your life. Well, sometimes I would message Seth and ask if he'd want to call because, you know, I thought he was cool and I wanted to hang out with him at the time, and I thought we were getting along really well, and he'd just straight up call me a retard or tell me to shut up if I over-explain stuff in Call with Swag. I mean, here's him threatening to block me for literally defending myself against rudeness in calls. In fact, this is nothing like the stuff you're going to see further on in the video, because these characteristics were only small things too. Because as he opened up his Discord server that same year, he started to become so infatuated by the 24/7 ass kissing from his fan base that he allowed Chuck to be bullied so hard in his servers by strangers, and he pretty much laughed while this would happen. You guys may not know this because it's been so kept hush-hush, but Chuck actually left his servers multiple times. Not always by his own choice too, usually because he would get bullied out of them, and stopped collabing with Seth for a long time, which he tries his best to deny all responsibility on that, which is just to this day the most ridiculous thing ever, that he actually thinks he was in the right for that stuff. And then people started to call me Chuck's replacement because, well, I could deal with his bullshit, but people like Chuck and everyone else who could smell what was going on, they didn't want to be around it. Here's a blurred screenshot I have that Seth was actually planning to spread around to make Chuck look like a pedophile. I will never share the contents of this image, but I have access to it and various other things that he was going to use on other people to expose them. Now, Chuck has since apologized for some of the ways he treated me in the past, and I actually like Chuck. I'm going to say that right now. Chuck's developed as a human being and is an actual nice guy at his core. I don't really have anything bad to say about him, and whatever he said in the past was just a product of the fact that he was expected to act a certain way back then. I understand why. But let me show you guys something really f***ed up that I found on my PC, which Seth definitely wouldn't want people to see. Back in 2017, when I was at my lowest point, both he and Seth laughed at a meme that they made showing the following. Yes, that's me in 2017. And here's a recording that I have of Chuck confirming that this thing is actually real, in case Seth tries to lie and say that this is fake or it's some kind of image that we all laughed at together, which is not the truth. Bro, I was thinking the other day, randomly, do you remember that image from like 2017 of me hanging off the tree? Do you remember that shit?
Oh my god, dude.
It came to mind because
Don't remind me of that. Don't remind me of that.
Yeah,
dude.
I know.
That's terrible.
It came up because I'm going through all these old selfies I had, and then I was like, what the is this? And then I just remembered having that.
Oh, that's so dude. I can't believe I did.
No,
I mean, Seth made it, but I sent it to you and shit. Oh, that was terrible, dude.
No, I've no ill will towards you about that. It was just funny because it just randomly came to mind, and I was like, I wonder if Chuck remembers this, because I forgot completely.
Oh my god.
Anyone from Seth's original SS debate group, which was essentially his moderator group on his Discord server, will attest that Chuck was thrown to the wolves, and I feel Chuck was mostly only hostile towards people in that server because Seth would try to set this high level of expectation that he needs to be a big debater, and even baited Chuck into multiple different unfavorable debates and would make fun of Chuck if he lost, in front of strangers who he had only known for weeks to months. Alright, Parrot, so Can you remember all the times that Seth tried to instigate myself into drama with people? I mean, we could talk about all the other people he's done it to, not just myself, but I know for a fact that you're aware he has had, you know, he said some pretty bad shit about me behind the scenes to you and to others, and he purposefully wanted to get me into crap so he could cause me problems with, say, yourself or other debaters in the server.
Yeah. I mean, the most notable thing I remember is him specifically trying to start beef between me and you over like various Bleach things or the like KSI, like Logan Paul video me and him did, where he would come to me and talk about like how much you'd been, you know, talking bad about me behind my back and stuff, and I assume he was like saying similar stuff to you about me, and then we got in call and started talking about it, and it just was like nothing, like you hadn't been talking shit. There was no beef whatsoever. It was really weird. He really wanted to manufacture this like argument or conflict between us, and to be honest, he's just sort of been like that about lots and lots of different people hanging around in that community. I definitely remember him.
It's very I'll let you finish in a second, but it is very reminiscent of the 2 attempts he made with Noodles and Trini to debate me, but I ended up becoming friends with the both of them because they actually liked talking with me, which was kind of ironic.
Right. Yeah. And he had very weird things to say about you to me in private at the time when you were sort of like helping him out with lots of like sponsorship stuff and like editing all his videos or whatever, and like, you know, very like, you'd think like you two would be very close, right? And you were like spending a lot of time together, but he would just like always talk about how he didn't trust you, or how he thought you were like trying to manipulate him, or that nothing he could say to you would be honest. And I think that was because that he was manipulating you. A lot of the stuff he was saying to you wasn't honest, and he was always hankering for like this drama and conflict. Which, you know, you were one of the people he was using to do that.
That's definitely for sure. Yeah, that's true. Around that time period, I remember this one time there was a guy called, his name was something Boo or something like that, and he posted something to do with the Naruto vs. Ichigo project in the server, and Seth's his like instant thought is that he accused me of trying to do something to the project, and he's like, I'm cancelling this, and he's going off me in VC. It turns out I had nothing to do with it, but he doesn't even apologize to me. And this is during a time period where, like you just said, I'm managing his sponsors, his videos, I'm editing for him, I'm getting audio guys to his audio, I'm making his thumbnails, his tags for his videos, assisting him however I can, and he's like 24/7 just causing me problems. I mean, it was like, it was to the point with working with him that I would even help him structure our collabs so that they were done correctly, like our Ichigo versus the Akatsuki, Naruto versus the Espada videos. I helped format those videos to make sure that they would turn out to be absolutely supreme quality. I was also doing these videos with a lot of passion while also being messed with all the time, and I mean, you can probably recall too that it wasn't just yourself that he was trying to set me up with debates with too. He probably also had talked like endless shit with the SS guys about me too, isn't that correct?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, even in just like the general group chats, he was definitely always desperate, I think, to like get you part of that hierarchy in some way, which, I mean, you'd always sort of resisted, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't ever want to be around. No, I never wanted to be around those guys. Not because I necessarily disliked them. I just didn't like the vibe of that stuff. I wanted nothing to do with that group because he treated all you guys like mercenaries and like throwaway guys that he could use to debate for him.
Yeah, and I also think part of it was that, you know, obviously he's placed himself at the top of this like debating hierarchy, and so if he can show that anyone else is lower in that hierarchy, he can just consider himself better than them by default without having to do anything, which he never really would debate anybody good in the first place.
That is true. That is true. See, like, I'm not going to be one of those people that will sit here and be like, I'm better than Seth or anything, but we had countless arguments where, like, I was clearly able to beat him on certain subjects and so on, and anytime you would do it, or Noodles or anyone else would do it, he would get very aggressive towards us, and along with that, he would send you guys into servers to go and debate, right, on certain subjects, but then he'd claim that because he was automatically above you two in rank in his server, that anything you guys do is a feat that goes back to him.
Yeah, and that's part of why, like, he wanted to instigate people to do debates with you, like that he was already like above in this hierarchy, because then he can just say he knows better than you or is better than you by default without having to do anything.
Yeah, we did have a lot of beef in 2018 and 19, and it was usually it was on topics that like he didn't know much about. So if he hears that I'm knowledgeable on, say, the UFC, he will want Noodles to debate me. Then we become friends. If it's politics, he tries to get Trini to come after me. But then we end up becoming friends. He did the same with Kappa. Him and Kappa tried to orchestrate the Trini debate, and it just didn't work because Trini was like, Clyde's not even that bad, and then we became friends. And then you and I, we talked about history and stuff together, and we got along very well. Turns out there's no beef there. It was just him trying to set it up.
Yeah, and it's not like you're not special in this regard either. Like he was just generally always trying to pull weird, passive aggressive shit like this and instigate sort of conflicts with tons of people. I mean, me and Chuck, he was constantly trying to like set me up against Chuck, just to make Chuck look bad, and you know, for his own amusement and to make him look better by extension.
He was very happy when Hashi beat Chuck too, like to the point where he was laughing about it when Hashi was saying in the call, there was a line he said where he was like, what are you snaffling, Chuck? And Seth loved it, bro. He loved seeing Chuck get humiliated in that debate.
Right. Yeah. And he would like encourage that sort of thing from people anyway.
Yeah. Tried to orchestrate, obviously people will know this by now, but he essentially orchestrated all the Swag debates with yourself and then with Noodles, and his attempt at first was to make Swag get humiliated by you guys in the debate, but then once he's seen that he could take advantage of the playing field by being on Swag's side, he used that to get on Swag's good side, and yeah, just manipulated the situation, man. I mean, if he can do it to someone like me that was his closest associate and helped him make financial, gain all the time and always wanted the best for him, I mean, he's done it to pretty much anyone. It really doesn't matter who you are. Evidence of that, too, is the fact he did it to Chuck so much and you just helped, back up that claim because Chuck had copped it so fucking hard back in the day, man. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Seth just really wanted to see him get humiliated. That's why he, encouraged him or basically, pressured him heavily to going into, the politics servers and started debating moral philosophy with Chuck's not educated in moral philosophy or whatever, right? It's debating these philosophy students and stuff. Obviously he's gonna look bad, but that was just what he wanted. And yeah, with the Swag stuff, I mean, afterwards he would just consistently lie about the conversations me and him had because he decided he wanted to switch over to being Swag's buddy instead of mine or whatever. There's a video up where whatever, all my biggest haters try to jump me at the same time and it doesn't really work out, but I call him out for saying certain things that then he's not willing to admit to.
Yeah, you would know this too, Parrot. You can actually back this up. Think about the amount of times, the countless amount of times that he talks Swag behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, all the time, constantly. Yeah. He really looked down on Swag and just thought that he was an idiot or beneath him and didn't really know anything about Naruto and just wanted to use the fact that Swag was this big channel to get ahead. He never really had anything good to say about Swag at all.
No,
he
didn't. No, even in private
business
with me.
Partnership.
Yeah, that's true. He'd always refer to him as a partner, not a friend. That was common language I'd always hear. When it come to Swag, he'd try to, instigate me and him debating political stuff. But, bro, when me and Swag are in call, I'll drop any subject. I don't care about politics when he and I are in call. And he was always trying to make this, weird agenda. That Swag and I were always, at each other's throats, conservative versus lefty type shit. But it was really never like that. It was actually him 24/7 just talking bad about Swag, and then it would trickle down to me where my language would change around him because when you're around toxic people it becomes the norm, and I would say stuff about Swag that normally I wouldn't. I've always considered him a friend, and I'm sure that he is absolutely aware that me and him, regardless of all the stuff, will always be friends at our core, but it was really propagated by him, bro. And you've seen it yourself. He fucking hated Swag behind the scenes.
Yeah, which I mean was a lot to do with his own ego as well, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely jealousy of his channel size. He hated how Swag got big on Naruto so casually, and he really didn't like that he was so much more likable. And what's funny is that my passion for Naruto, which has been burnt out from working on Seth's channel, is the reason why his Naruto videos even did well. Noodles and yourself helped him scale the videos. Now, I did the editing for the videos, and the reason the videos look so good is because I treated them like they were my own content.
Right, yeah, I know a lot of those videos you did were I remember you spending way longer on them than I ever would have with the editing.
Which he would, by the way, rush me with, and he would be like, MJ would have had it done sooner, but and this is no offense to MJ, I like MJ, but MJ is quite notorious amongst a lot of us creators for taking a long time for getting videos done on time. I don't mean to throw him under the bus, truthfully, but he really did. He's done it to me and Swag and Seth multiple times where he's taken too long. I was always good with communication. If I took extra time out of laziness, or let's say I wasn't motivated to do it, I would always be vocal and ask for extra time, and I always really did. If I was given enough time, I would always put a lot of love into those videos and try to make them as good as my own.
Yeah, and you know, also video editing is like a really, really tedious thing. So yeah, like no hate on anybody who delays their video editing. I certainly do when I'm editing as well.
Yeah,
so
I do it with my own. My own videos can take 3 weeks to make sometimes. Dongai Ichigo took me a month because I wanted to do it very meticulously and not rush anything.
Yeah, and it's really boring as well. But no, I remember him really pressuring you on video deadlines a lot, like quite excessively.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion. And I remember like the MJ comment you were talking about too. Yeah, he used to say that sort of shit to me privately as well. He'd be like, man, Clyde's editing like takes too long or whatever, and MJ does it quicker, or whoever else is making his videos.
The funny part was, of all the editors, it turns out I was the most consistent one of any of them. Like, I was the one that was the most reliable with the advertisements, because I didn't just edit, I also got him sponsorships and used to help him out with second channel content and setting up his Twitch. I helped him get his Twitch name through Living Ichigo, set that up for him. You know, like, all just the sponsors alone, the amount of money he made because of me doing the negotiations for him was crazy. There was even deals that I set up that were 10k that he never even did because he just didn't want to do them too. So there was even money that was technically just, like, thrown away.
It's because he can't edit his own videos, so...
True, yeah.
And he doesn't write his own script most of the time either, so...
He also doesn't do his thumbnails, his tags, titles, tweets. He even asked me to start doing his tweets for him too, and I said, I can't do that. It's too much to manage. Like, your Twitter has to be you. That's what I said.
Yeah. So many of those his videos, like the scripts, were just entirely written by me. I mean, some of those videos aren't even up anymore. But even of the videos that are up right now, like most of his biggest videos were just scripts that were written by me and edited by you.
He popped off at me one time because I couldn't get a Death Note video done in a single day. I took an extra day, the video still popped off anyway. It was just like, if you want quality, you can't rush me, bro. Like, I don't even edit my own videos that fast because I can't do it. It's too stressful.
Not in one day. I never anything be able to edit a video in one day.
Nope, it'd just be sloppy and look ugly. But that's pretty much that. I'll end the recording right.
The only thing Six is good at in life is literally eating and talking about Naruto, bruh. I don't even know why y'all try to interact with him in his server. He doesn't have anything of value to offer the world. If it's not about a Naruto data book, like, why the are you talking to him? Have you heard him talk about anything else in existence? Like, what the why would you ever try to have a conversation with him? What do you gain? Why do you him then? 'Cause I upload Naruto content, dumbass. The what do you mean? Like, what? 'Cause I upload Naruto videos.
Speaking of his character, in private, Seth and I had talked about how in 2017 we thought that iDubbbz was low-key not as edgy as people were making him out to be, so we discussed making a video. Seth at the time was too scared of the backlash, so I decided to make the video. Although a lot of my suspicions about iDubbbz being pretty soft turned out to be correct, iDubbbz was very famous for his content cop videos at the time and essentially destroying people's channels with a single video. I purchased clothing, assets for the video, I scripted it into a crazy long formatted documentary, and I pretty much ripped iDubbbz apart. However, the next day, I woke up to Seth and his server clowning me in the server and posting photos of myself from the video. I noticed over the years that this started to become a very common trend with Seth, throwing his friends under the bus if his fan base or lackeys thought it was funny. He kind of plays to the beat of the crowd. It's like someone constantly begging for approval in every single moment. Anything to be seen as likable. I can say for certain that his claims of martial arts are very inflated. He's pretty much been to like 10 classes in total. His ability to woe women is largely inflated, and we'll get into that in the video. And even his debate accolades are pretty suspect, which we'll also go into in this video. A lot of you guys that have been watching our streams for a pretty long time might actually remember Seth saying stuff like, ugh, I wish someone would just prove that Berserk is overrated, man. Like, I just don't think it's that good. And I can attest that he said stuff like this on stream with me, but then during another stream, after the unfortunate passing of the author, right, from a series that I fucking love, he suddenly pretends that he cares all of a sudden. He also did this countless times with Bleach, shitting on the series, then switching up when he knew that it would be beneficial both financially and publicly to support the series, especially with the anime returning. It's fine to dislike a series. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, look what Seth said about Naruto, look what Seth said about Bleach, look what Seth said about this series. Like, that's irrelevant. The point is, the constant lying to his fan base is the problem. If I don't like a series, I'll straight up tell you guys. To this day, I'm not a fan of Boruto. It's just my taste. I don't like it, and I'm not going to pretend that I do like it. Genuine chameleon behavior. Here's an example. Seth also did the same when XXXTentacion died, because I guess he thought that it was the right thing to do, or something like that, which I know for a fact he barely cared, and possibly didn't even listen to him. And I know this because I never once heard him reference X a single time, and at that time, I was a pretty damn big fan of his music, so I took mental note of this. As I also mentioned before with the instigating debates, both he and Kappa tried to sneakily coerce me into a debate with Trini after I assumed Seth didn't like that I was quite vocal about, like, political related stuff in call. Not necessarily the context of the actual political discourse we were having, but the fact that I sounded pretty knowledgeable kind of bothered him. He doesn't like when people know more about certain topics than he does, so I just claimed that my tiredness was too distracting and that I couldn't do the debate. I could smell exactly what was going on. At this time, Seth didn't like at all that I wouldn't take his crap in call, and I would argue with him quite a lot if he would give me attitude. Stating to Trini in private, verbatim, this is what he said to Trini, I need you to take someone out for me. And Trini told me this on the sly in advance before he could do anything. Seth also at the time was asking his SS server members, aka his mods, to get information on me in one of the chats. He called this his Black Ops chat. A lot of this was being inspired by the fact that I was letting people know in advance that he was kind of a bit crazy, because he was always rude to everyone on Discord, regardless if you're a friend, an enemy, or he was just in a bad mood. He could never control his emotions to the point where he would have so many friendships get cut off just on a whim. Even Nux Taku, who I'd like to assume he and I are on pretty decent terms, the last time we talked was pretty positive, and I appreciate that he reached out to me and wanted to call about some stuff. But that being said, he had some pretty weird experiences with Seth too during this time period, and it was over really petty stuff. It's also ironic with him getting so insecure about the craziness stuff too, because every time that he's had drama with a friend, the second that anything kicks off, he starts telling the world about every single private thing that he's ever been told by them. For example, with me, starts talking about my relationship stuff, starts talking about my IRL, my mental health. Just look at this screenshot on the screen right now. It's literally him mocking me for being depressed, alongside the image from before, which you can see where he edited me hanging off of a tree because I was suicidal. Who the f acts like this? Another example, Noodles with his girlfriend at the time, leaking his address, trying to get him doxxed. He even lied about almost every single detail in their drama, which no one even knows about because he played the entire audience like a fiddle. They all think Noodles is like this high IQ anime villain, when in truth, a lot of the drama with Noodles and Swag and Seth, it actually all was inspired by the fact that Noodles just always wanted to debate Swag. That's where it all came from initially. When it comes to Swag Kage, if Seth has the opportunity to, he's going to air out every single bit of private information that he knows about Swag Kage. And listen, we're going to get a little bit into that further into the video, but I'm not going to share the actual intricacies or details themselves, but there is something very important which Swag needs to see in this video. Because if he sees this and he still associates with Seth after this video, he's a f***ing idiot. Another example, he actually told people that Trini got molested by his neighbor. He also laughed at this guy called Tippo for being raped as a kid. Famdingo? Well, he laughed at him because he attempted suicide on stream in 2017. I mean, again, here's him openly mocking people from the old server I used to share with Famdingo, called the Dingo Den, and literally making fun of my mental health while knowing I am going through the worst time of my life. To this day, all of the drama, the people that got bullied, made fun of in that server, all the fucked up shit that there's, that still probably hasn't even came out and no one knows about, right? To this day, he still thinks that he did nothing. Like, he still believes that he was getting attacked by people for no reason, and victimizes himself to the degree where it's, like, actually delusional. During the infamous Boruto collab that Seth, Swag, and I did, when I mentioned I was planning to make a video giving my honest thoughts on Boruto, which involved me having to actually, like, watch and read it, Seth said, weren't we gonna do that collab? And I said, well, we still can if you'd like, and we got Swag onto the video. Now, the only reason that collaboration happened was because I knew that if I did it solo, Seth would have cried about it, because this had actually happened in a past video that I did with Swag, a video where Swag and I talked about an alternate ending of Naruto involving Madara. And Seth got so upset because he assumed that we stole that topic from him, as he planned to do Momoshiki versus Madara, that he cried about it for weeks and started to imply that I was a rat. Same with Swag. He like pretty much didn't trust us for months after that. He legit thought we went out of our way to do that in a malicious way. I can say to this day, right now that I have absolutely zero connection with Seth, I had no intentions to steal the video. If I did, I'd straight up admit it right now. But this is where his weird paranoia started to get worse and worse the more that I knew him. The more that I started to get on him about his mental health and the way that he treated others, the more that he started to become really paranoid about everyone coming after him. He'd always think that I had some ulterior motive, like I was trying to get something from him, steal money, etc. Even with random people, regardless of how nice they were, it didn't matter. He'd do it with them too. In October of 2017, I said to Seth, who at the time had videos with the quality of Windows Movie Maker, yo, let's collab and I'll edit it. Let's do the Espada versus the Akatsuki. He was pretty excited to see what I could do, and at the time was very impressed. I even recorded the video footage for his sponsor on the video, which I believe at the time was L-Sword, if I get it wrong, whatever. But I was paid around like 250 USD to do this, which was cool. It was the first time I'd been paid to edit, and I mostly did it because I actually just wanted him to have a cool video, and I'd always said, I actually want to make videos with you, I like collaborating with you, and obviously I'm going to work hard because my channel at the time was small, so by collaborating, my channel grows. If I work hard for him, my channel grows. It's beneficiary for the both of us. So, you know, I edited this video in a pretty quick manner due to the video needing to be done by a certain time. It was actually around 50 minutes, if I am remembering that correctly too. Someone's no doubt downloaded it on YouTube. But normally, to give you guys some context, normally a video like this would have taken me 2 to 3 weeks to produce. I did it in a few days. If you want to see the difference in videos before and after I started editing for him, just look at the videos coming out nowadays versus the ones that you can see where I worked on them. I actually have a file on my PC which is related to Sony Vegas, which I've used to edit my videos, and it tells me every single video that I've ever edited. If I need to, I can go and look and find every single video that I worked on for him, which to this day, pretty much no one even knows about. It's actually beyond pathetic and honestly lazy because he records some of his videos with a Turtle Beach headset because he doesn't want to bother with setting up a professional mic, which he could easily pay someone to do, or just buy one that's like auto set up when you plug it in. Anyway, later in the year, we planned to do Aizen versus Madara. This video was probably to this day the most stressful work that I've ever done apart from this video now. And looking back on it, other YouTubers would have been exposed for this situation due to how much work I had to do in such a short amount of time and how much I was shit on for taking too long, which is ironic because I actually didn't take too long. I got it done in record time. But anyway, Seth and I sat down 3 days before Christmas in 2017, and he wanted to record this video off the cuff. I, at the time, wanted the video to be scripted and formatted correctly so I could edit the video like a well-structured breakdown. And I also didn't want to record the video without a script or at least some guidelines in front of me to spitball because the memory problems that I was having from my sleep deprivation and mental health, along with my mental fatigue in general, was making it really hard for me to improv record. And I tried to stress this to him, but he just didn't listen. Before I was experiencing these issues, I used to be able to record videos off the top of my head without a script. I actually used to make Call of Duty commentary videos on my old channel back in the day before I did any of this anime stuff, and I had close to like 3,500 subs on that old channel before I got rid of it. To give you some perspective, sometimes the raw audio for one of my normal, highly edited videos, like say the Dongai video, the actual audio for a video like that was 3 hours long. If they're big like the Stark video or the Mugetsu video, it's even longer. Because of my sleeping issues, I have a lot of trouble reading. Not because I can't read as I'm reading a script right now, but it's because I like to have backup lines so that if I read something and I f*** it up but I don't notice because of my sleep deprivation, well, then I have backup lines in case there's weird noises, errors in the audio, or like I said, I mess up the line. If you record separate audio sessions, it can make the video sound super different. Here's an example. Listen to my Naruto Destiny video, where the video goes from normal recording to a line that I had to slip into the video because I made a mistake. If Naruto had lost to Neji, he would have just trained and never stopped until he was Hokage. Gaara's character showed us how dark this stuff can get, as he was basically insane due to his tail beast. And to think that it's a blessing to have the 9 tails inside of you. What's really annoying too is that I've always been a very hard worker on videos, and Seth for the longest time just assumed I was playing this up I was so tired all the time that my vision wouldn't even stay straight. I couldn't even play video games properly anymore because I'd feel like a zombie. It's like my brain was super dehydrated, and I was so weak that I'd need to sleep multiple times throughout the day. If you research sleep apnea and then mix that in with how bad my mental health was at the time, you'll find out that I was pretty much dying in my sleep, but I didn't even know it. And then you add anxiety disorder to that, and you've got my situation. It was f***ed. That being said, we had to delay the video by a day, and once we had recorded the video like I instructed, I was made to edit an hour-long video in 48 hours during Christmas, along with engineering the audio myself, which that by itself took hours. I never do audio these days. I always have someone do it because it takes so long, but I banged out both the audio and the video. And you know what? The motivation for the video was never money-oriented. I did it for Seth because I wanted to show him how cool my editing could make our video, and I was excited to collab with him. That was the motivation for the video the whole time. I always wanted to make videos like some death battle type stuff, but I wanted to do it with someone that, as a co-host, being Seth and vice versa, we would actually have a cool dynamic that wasn't cringe like I believe their videos were. That's why I was so passionate to not only do such heavy work, but I actually put up with all his bullshit because I thought he was my really close friend at the time. This video could have actually easily been delayed, but because Seth at the time wasn't experienced with editing and how time consuming it actually is, it was expected to be done. I've heard MJX TV countless times hype me up for the fact that I got that video done in record time, and he's surprised that it was actually edited that fast. I didn't even sleep for that entire time period. That's 2 days without sleep. The kind of sleep deprivation where, if I had kept going, I could have legitimately died or passed out or something bad like that, which I almost did. I almost went to bed multiple times because I was so exhausted, but I got back up and I was like, no, you have to get this done, don't let him down. Right, I was so fatigued from sleep apnea. I wish I could put into perspective for you guys, like, just how bad it is for those of you who've never experienced it, because the tiredness from sleep apnea is, it doesn't matter how long you've slept, you don't feel like you've gotten any rest. Like, you sort of question, you're like, come on, buddy, what were you doing for the past, like, 9 to 12 hours? Did you even, get any rest? Like, what was the point in that? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I'd sit there and my blood pressure would be getting messed up so bad from these sleep issues that I'd feel like I was rocking in my chair, or like I was getting dizzy for no reason with vertigo. But anyway, all that aside, I got it done. I'd also get weird messages from him where he would try to rush me with videos, but he'd try to do it in a sly way where, like, it's as if he didn't realize that, like, other people have a monologue in their brain, like, yo, he's kind of being weird through DM, and this was, like, not a one-off thing, it was all the time. It was like, yo, how's the video coming, man? Oh, yo, edit faster, Clyde, yo, you can do it. And it was always sarcastic, too. It was never encouraging, which I would say, like, dude, you know, if you were nicer to me, like, I could easily get this video done faster. I want positive attitude. Like, I'm gonna feel personally more in debt to someone that's nice to me as opposed to someone who is an asshole to me. It's just how I operate. I don't really respond good to negative attitude. In fact, it turns me off of doing something for someone because I'll happily feel way worse if I have to do something for someone that's nice to me. That's just how I am. But anyway, to give you guys some understanding, if I was like a game producer or an engineer or something like that, right, and I complained about this to work safety, he would get in so much trouble because the amount of work that he was making me do while shaming me for quote-unquote being lazy or implying to other people I was slacking off even though he's never been able to edit a video even like I do back in 2017. My editing is heaven and earth better than it was back then. But even still, if you had to put a gun to his head hypothetically and say, edit that video, Seth, he wouldn't even be able to because he doesn't know how to. But anyway, in January, while Seth and I were playing Naruto together, I said to him, hey Seth, I really want to move out. My grandmother is being really weird towards me, and same with my other family members, and I offered to edit 20 videos for him for 4,000 USD flat, which I think I broke it down to, like, you know, 20 videos divided by like $200 each, which I thought was a pretty fair rate, and this is how desperate I was to move out at the time. If I had a normal living situation at the time, I could have easily stayed with my grandmother or hypothetical parents, saved up all the YouTube money I got over time, and by now I would no doubt probably own my own home or be much more financially better off. But yeah, pretty frustrating. I dived into this on veteran mode and I did it in a very silly way too because I was in such a bad spot. That being said though, Seth accepted and rounded it off to 5,000 USD as a gentleman's agreement, and I also had a notepad plus, like I said before, the Sony Vegas file which lets me know which videos I actually edited for him, and I'd make a note as I would edit the videos, and I can say this was probably the stupidest decision that I've ever made in my life because now I was in debt to Seth. As Seth's channel grew and he became closer with his debate goobers, his ego became ridiculous and his paranoia became genuinely weird. It was so bad that he accused me of trying to get his server banned when me and 3 of my server members that he knew, who were also in his server, went into his server and spam Thanos memes to annoy one of the moderators named Tempest at the time. Then Seth banned me, and in voice chat in the server started to insult me to randoms in front of everyone, right? And called me some pretty nasty things, did the same to all the other people he banned. Then he banned people like my friend Charlie and Goob, just got rid of him out the server. And it got so bad after that he thinks I was trying to steal members from his server to make my own. I already had my own server, people already watched my videos, people obviously happened to like some of the content I was putting out. Actual sentient human beings that enjoyed talking to me in VC, that verbatim said to me, Clyde, that's crazy. Why would he even care if we join your server? He doesn't even give us the time of day anyway, which was true. All the people that joined my server through his or through my comment section, right? Those people never interacted with Seth the same way his lackeys did whatsoever. He never even liked these guys. In fact, one of them named Charlie, who was also from Australia like me, he became friends with me because while he was getting bullied in that server at the age of 15 and having his workout photos spammed by Seth in the server of 8,000 people, I was actually nice to him. And this came to be over a minor disagreement where Seth got insecure about his physique towards Charlie, who was pretty f***ing ripped at that age. Seth also used to post photos of a guy called Omar, who I will talk about later in this video because he's the head animator of Naruto vs. Ichigo, and Seth would pretend that this physique of his, which is, Omar, you looking dicey, right? You looking good, right? Yeah, he used to pretend that was his own to randoms in his server. He also apparently used to try and do the same thing with some cosplayer and would pretty much like pretend that was him. There was actually a time where someone was complimenting the way that my appearance looked in VC, and Seth tried to post a screenshot of myself from the iDubbbz video to put me down for some weird reason. I don't know, like, was he getting insecure because another grown man was getting a compliment from someone? Like, I don't know, that was weird. The actual reason why server members of mine like Goob, Charlie Smith G, Reach, and many others actually liked me was because we got along. And what makes it more weird is that, why would he even care in the first place if people joined my server? He didn't even like those guys to begin with. He had issues with them on multiple occasions, and talked almost all of them in private, except maybe Reach, because Reach is like rarely ever around. Eventually through messages, I got Seth to admit that he had mental issues, and it genuinely got so exhausting dealing with him. I can frankly say that to this day, I have never had any experience, right, like this kind of stress from any other friend or content creator on YouTube to this degree. When I edited a video for Nux Taku, he was chill, gave me more time. Swag Kage, never complained, always chill. Chuck, super lenient, wasn't rude, respected how time consuming the work was, gave me like 2 weeks one time to edit a video because I needed to juggle both Seth's channel, my channel, and his video, and he didn't even care. He said it's all good bro, to send it over whenever. I will admit, there was probably like 2 through 5 times max where I did make mistakes with videos, or there was like an audio issue where I had to bang out, say, the Topo video in 24 hours, which was like 20 minutes. And I took an extra day with Seth's Kingdom Hearts video, which honestly was a hard video to edit, not only because I had to download so much footage of stuff that I didn't know about, right? But I didn't even care about the series. I didn't grow up with it. You gotta understand, it's hard to have ideas to edit videos and improv editing while you're doing it, right? And know exactly what to do with footage or understand references and stuff that would appeal to the fans if the content is foreign to you. In fact, here's the funny part actually, guys. Not many people know this, but I edited almost every single fucking big video on his channel. God of War, that was me. Goku vs. Superman, that was me. The Death Note videos with millions of views, perfect looking footage, and all the most amazingly placed scans and music choices, yeah, that was me. The Naruto content, which looks like it has identical editing to Clyde's Naruto videos, yeah, that was me again. I edited his videos, made his thumbnails, helped him with titles of videos, the tags, the description, little tips and tricks which I could have kept to myself, helped him with tweets. I even managed his business email for a year and helped him make upwards of, I want to say in the range of $25,000 to probably $35,000 from advertisement deals, which he'll probably say, oh, I could have got them myself, but that is definitely not the truth, because I even went out of my way to reach out to sponsors or handle all of the negotiations, which he was too immature to deal with. Sometimes I'd even avoid getting a deal for my own channel to secure deals for him. Along with that, Here's a message from one of the sponsors, literally bitch because he was so hard to work with and how he cancelled on a whim at a deal that he just like decided, I don't really want to do that anymore. The most recent one too, which you can see on the screen, was $18,000 for a single video. I also got a deal which was pretty much the same for Swag Kage, and yeah, we'll come back to that because it's pretty important for the video. As 2018 went on, it got to a stage where I was legitimately sick of working with Seth. If he was nice to me, I would have happily kept editing, but he was being a legitimate douchebag to not just me, but so many other people that I knew. I'd actually be depressed knowing that if I don't respond to a message he sent me, he would get suspicious or just cause drama on a whim. I also never had any bad experiences with many people in the community that I sadly had to cut off, like Noodles or Omar, and I had to remove them because if I didn't, Seth would be suspicious that I was doing something wrong or meddling with his work or whatever else paranoia was inspiring him to say. Like, it was ridiculous. Here's a screenshot of him threatening me after I had to explain that I wasn't involved in SmithG not wanting to work with him. I had nothing to do with the situation. It was during a time period where Seth, out of nowhere, had just deleted me off Discord because I told him to stop being a baby because he was like, you're a bad friend, you don't care about me, I know you don't care. After I'd spent countless calls trying to tell him to see a doctor, get veneers, look after himself, how to take care of his facial skin with different kinds of creams and so on, even helped him pick out damn clothes for sake. And I'd get treated like that on a whim because he's having a bad day. It actually had nothing to do with anything like me being involved. Smith straight up told me that he genuinely felt uncomfortable working with Seth and he knew that if he did, shit was gonna go wrong. To give you a consistent example of that too, here is audio recording of the head animator of Naruto vs. Ichigo explaining that multiple people who worked on the project had verbatim said that Seth was crazy, right? And that they needed to stop working with him and they advised the main animator to stop because of how weird he was to work with. Alright Omar, so could you give me some examples of the kind of stuff that people who had worked on the project that stood away or warned you about certain things, what was the kind of like language they gave towards you in regards to working with Seth? Can you kind of summarize it within like a minute or so? How many times you heard this? And because you even told me that it wasn't just from the workers, it was also from family members too.
Yeah, so like the animators themselves all specifically said he's unstable, like crazy, and they don't want to work for him. A lot of people said they don't want to work on it again unless I'm at the helm, and were specifically only going to work on it if that was the case. I had the music guys specifically work with him for about a month and say to get away from him. The dude is crazy, and the way he speaks to me is not okay. And the way he speaks and treats everyone else, that the dude is nuts and to get away from him. Friends and family also said the same. And art friends who had worked on other projects with him had said about how ridiculous he was and that I shouldn't be dealing with him, to get away constantly. It was everyone telling me to move away from him, that the dude's bad news, including my mother, other family members, and my girlfriend.
Also, here's an audio recording where the head animator of Naruto vs. Ichigo said that the majority of the reasons why he went to go see a psychologist was because of Seth. Also, Omar, could you sort of tell me, so you had said to me in private that whenever you would go to see your psychologist because you deal with some mental health issues, which is completely okay, we all have our problems and stuff, and I'd never judge you for that, but you had told me on more than one occasion that what usually would happen is that you would go to your psychologist and the initial meetings, which would be about you, would then diverge into pretty much being all about him. That's correct?
Yeah, that is correct. A lot of our sessions would divulge about my anxiety around Seth, or how he was treating me, or the various situations around him, and how to navigate it and help him, but also how to make sure I'm not hurt. One thing that came up in particular a lot was me concerned about his life and the trajectory of it, sorry. But my therapist would always try and bring me back to how do I make me okay with it, and how do I somewhat separate myself from him? How do I protect myself? Yeah.
Now, there was something you had said to me last night that really stuck to me, and you had thanked me actually when it comes to us working together for the past month or so, because you had said that it was kind of refreshing in a sense to work with me because there was absolutely no tension, no insults, no anxiety, no rudeness. And is that correct? Like, even just working with me for just a handful of weeks on and off when it comes to my story, or even like looking at one of my new videos like Aizen versus Unohana, do you actually get that sense that working with me is like an actual relief compared to being around him all the time?
I would actually say it's not a relief, it's healing, because it's the opposite. working with you is essentially washing away all the bad blood and bad experience I had from working with him. So working with you is entirely different, and honestly, yeah, like a breath of fresh air.
The situation with Seth wasn't just editing, it was 24/7 being available. If he needed me for something, I'd have to go to him. If he wanted me to call or play games, I'd reluctantly go and do it. I even once left a call with a girl who I was very close with at the time because I had to prioritize answering his random request to call, and like I said, if I ignore him, he used to be suspect that I was doing something shady, and I had to keep this shit low-key all the time because it was embarrassing to talk about to people. But anyway, around July/August of 2018, I'm showering, and I get out of the shower, and I get these really weird messages from Seth, where he's coming at me accusing me of plagiarizing another YouTuber's intro, and I was like, nah, f*** this. And I messaged him, stating that I was going to pay him back the rest of the money that I owed him from the deal, which I think was like around $2,000 at the time, and I didn't even have the money right, but I was going to try and do it anyway, and he went absolutely crazy when I deleted him, tweeting publicly about this, and even telling people that if I paid him back the remaining money, he wouldn't stop coming at me. Verbatim telling people that he was going to make sure I was homeless and, quote, eat out of the trash. He himself has even repeated this phrase before too, to try and make light of it. Also, here are screenshots of this being confirmed by Trini, who is talking to him in the screenshot, and him threatening me through messages with physical violence. He actually says in these messages here that he wants to meet up with me at Anime Expo so that he can try and do something to me, which he also threatened towards Fam Dingo. It got so weird at the time that Barack Obama, also known as Saving the Bees, and he'll probably remember this, had to step in and tell Seth to stop making things public, and even Chuck went at Seth and told him to stop, which to this day, I will say I respect Chuck very much for doing that, because this was clearly a product of the fact that of all the years that Chuck had been around Seth, he clearly thought, yeah, this isn't cool, dude, you're taking it too far, just like even Trini said. At the time, my friends Corey, Smith, John, Tippo were all supporting me, and Trini, of all people, was like, nah, this is too far, and warned me many times to keep my distance from Seth. Swag at the time too was helping me, and even while I was in the midst of having my name slandered, legitimate abuse of power from Seth, and sitting in my apartment thinking, holy shit, I'm f***ed, I have no money even if I want to pay him back and do the right thing, which I was attempting to do, I still told Swag to not come at Seth so hard, and Swag was about to post something in Seth's server that I will not say what it is, but I stopped him from doing it, even while I was in such a bad situation and had every reason to fight back like this. I'm sure you can guess what it probably was. If Swag is watching this, he will know specifically what I told him not to post in Seth's server. That should speak at least somewhat about the character that I have beyond just this YouTube bullshit. Eventually, Chuck was able to calm Seth down. Seth and I got into a call. We kept things cordial, and something I did, which I feel bad about to this day, was that I cut off Trini. However, during this time period, to give some context, many people, like Smith, had told me that Trini was instigating stuff and laughing at the situation because there was some weird third-party stuff going on, like hacking, doxing, and emails getting messed with by, we don't even know who to this day, but there's, you know, it's probably obvious who did it. And yeah, truthfully, I didn't really know Trini that well, or these characters that well for that matter, so I just want to say, hand out to Trini right now, I apologize for being a dickhead towards you. I know that you probably don't like me, but your advice was correct, and I think that you deserve to have some credit here because you were correct and you did do the right thing. And I hope you understand the nuance in the situation of that I didn't know who to trust. I was in a situation where, although I did have friends, I felt like I was alone because I was on the verge of homelessness, so I had no idea who to trust. Like, that's just the truth. And I was very silly. My youth at the time and not having experience with this kind of stuff was stupid. I should have been more wise. One thing I was personally worried about at the time, which I don't care about now, is that from my experience with Seth, I actually expected him to try and go out of his way to message my ex-girlfriend and drag her into stuff, and you might ask yourself, how did you know about your ex? Well, obviously in conversation, you know, like these sort of things come up, and he was curious like what she looked like, and I was like, well, there's her Instagram, and I think in the past too, I'd also shown a screenshot of her trying to speak to me, and I was just like, oh, look at this, but whatever, that's irrelevant. I'd like to avoid talking about her as much as possible, but this was the level of expectation I had towards him. Not that I was like scared that there would be any secrets leaked or anything like that, because there's not. Like, there's nothing to do with her that would have come out that would have been a problem, but I actually cared about her and I didn't want her to be anywhere near bullshit like this. That's how I perceived his character to potentially be, and trust me, I have my reasons. It got so bad that it also bled into my actual friends as well, some who weren't even associated with Seth at all. They had friends he didn't like, because they were considered bad news, example being Charlie, who couldn't be friends with, say, Noodles because Seth didn't like him, so I had to tell him to hide his friendship and don't speak about it public or cut ties with him and blah blah blah. I actually had to do this too with someone called Cubic. I had to tell my friend Corey to remove him just solely based on the fact that I don't want there to be any suspect behavior of like, oh, is Clyde telling Corey to say something to you, Cubic? I bet he is. To give you an example of the paranoia, there was actually a time in 2021, back when the Noodles drama kicked off with him, and I was showing him some DMs that I had with Noodles because we were still friends on Discord technically, but I wasn't on his side, and I was like, yo, this is what he said. Seth's instant reply is he assumes I'm up to something, and I'm like, Seth, why would I show you screenshots and like literally proof that I have him on Discord, right? If like I didn't trust you when I was on your side. I just couldn't fathom it, so I had to delete him and then show him the screenshot of me deleting him to prove it, which was just ridiculous. But this is the kind of crap I had to deal with all the time, and a lot of the time too, it actually wasn't even always bad people that I had to get rid of. And it's funny that I use the term bad for Noodles because, in truth, he's not even bad. But anyway, fast forward to around the release of Black Ops 4, and Seth had paid me a flat fee of around 10,000 USD to edit for him, which was after we had sort of remedied things when we made contact after Chuck had calmed him down, and Seth was being super nice to me, and he was actively trying to avoid doing weird stuff towards me, but a lot of it was mostly me carrying that because I'd left his Discord server, stayed away from his friends. I wanted to make it so there was zero possibility that he could accuse me of weird stuff, and even with all those efforts, it would still always be a problem. I frankly needed the money, and he needed an editor. Because he can't actually edit, and what he can edit, like I said before, looks like Windows and Movie Maker type videos. For the next few months, we were getting along a lot better than before, but it just slowly went back to the same again, and I had warned him before to stop being disrespectful and rude towards me many a times. This was a continuous rinse and repeat situation. He be nice to me, I'm enjoying it. He pays me money to edit, I think things are cool. I'm now in debt to him, rinse and repeat over and over. Not even joking, it felt like at a point that I was in a homosexual relationship with him because my friend Corey had said verbatim to me, if this was anyone else, you wouldn't deal with it. And he was right. But before this, in December of 2018, something really weird happened to me that I honestly am very embarrassed to speak about. However, I'm going to be transparent with it because I have nothing to hide, and this made me pretty worried about having issues with Seth, and if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't be as worried about it because it was honestly silly that I was so worried, but I'm just going to tell you guys because I need to get this off my chest. From around July of 2018, I was talking with a girl on Twitter, on and off. This person and I were friendly with one another, super flirtatious, and before you ask, I neither sent nudes nor requested them. What ended up happening, and thank God I have proof of this, was that this girl had been lying about her age to me. However, before I found this out, I had already cut off communication with her because the way they spoke to me was pretty suspicious, and I wasn't interested in continuing talking with her anyway. If you're a YouTuber, I highly suggest you always screenshot people's ages if you're ever talking with someone beyond just friendliness, because all it took was this girl and her friends coming into my server and spreading screenshots of our private conversations, and the next thing you know, I'm getting called a pedophile. Once you stop giving these people attention, they are now ammo against you, which is also why Seth has dealt with so much stuff in the past, like being accused of, I wouldn't say similar things because his situations are a lot different to mine, and I try my best to do the right thing, but the most insane part was, I actually didn't do anything illegal in my country, and again, nudes were never exchanged nor asked for. The reason this is relevant is because I freaked out. I freaked out so hard that I even asked other YouTubers for advice, and Seth, who helped me with the situation at the time and has known about it the entire time, so if he tries to spin this into some bullshit, he saved the screenshots of the private conversation and would randomly mention them to me in private calls. Oh, there's those screenshots of that girl you were talking to, he would say as he goes through his PC looking for something like a debate file or just a random meme or who knows what. Straight up sociopathic type shit. Clearly doing this to keep me from stepping out of what he would consider line. Looking back on it, it's kind of funny because in essence, it's pretty much just, oh man, Clyde's a dog in bed, oh my god. So even if the screenshots go out, like I actually don't give a f***. Like, I still didn't do anything wrong, and it made me very paranoid because of our power dynamic and my livelihood being connected with YouTube. Unlike many of you out there, I don't have a backup plan. I genuinely don't have any family to rely on. I couldn't even ask a family member to front me the cash initially in 2018, to pay him back and then f*** off. That's how desperate I was to get out. I would have rather been in debt to the bank tenfold than deal with this bullshit. But knowing Seth, he would just blatantly lie about it and propel the accusation of being a pedophile, and that's why I was so worried. It kind of reminds you guys of something, doesn't it? It's almost like that time he falsely accused someone of being a rapist and wouldn't drop it because he wanted to look like the good guy. What a weirdo. The difference in channel size and our power dynamic financially just made it feel more suffocating. If I don't take his disrespect or delete him, he will cause drama. If I don't take his disrespect or delete him, I will now be financially trapped with him and he can slander me in public while saying, "Where's the money, Clyde? Send me the money back." Even if I tried to pay him back, I would have to risk being thrown into drama like I said. He also made it evident at the time that he didn't care about the money itself, it was just to keep me financially trapped to him. Both Chuck and MJ had also said to me on individual occasions that my editing even inspired them to improve their own as they seen how much work I was putting into Seth's content, and I also avoided getting too close to content creators that Seth was associated with because I knew that if I was to break off from Seth at any point, it means close potential friendships and these people would have a weird perception of me because he would just lie, just like he did to Geekdom and everybody else. He claimed to Geekdom in private and other people that I had scammed him out of money, which was never the truth, he just lied. He also shared pictures of Geekdom to me, I want to say in 2017, maybe 18, before Geekdom had even shown his face off to anybody, and used to just talk endless shit about Geekdom and everybody else that he worked with. I've heard him literally laugh at Carthu doing bad against Jade in a debate, made fun of his relationship stuff in private, but then shit talk the thumbnails I make with Carthu behind my back, even though they always bang. Chuck has thanked me countless times for helping him make thumbnails and channel art. I never even asked him for payment for it, I literally just did it because Chuck was always nice to me. And I can say that I also did it because I did like Chuck. I think Chuck's a cool dude regardless of all the bullshit back in the day and how unfairly he's been represented. I do think that a lot of his behavior is just a product of the time period that he was a part of and also how he was expected by Seth to act a certain way. Just imagine for a second other YouTubers doing this snaky shit. They would get their channels ruined if they tried stuff like this. It was also annoying too because I'd even have to do stuff like, say, for example, Seth debated this guy where his recording messed up, so I came into the VC and recorded the whole re-debate for him, and these are things that I was never even paid for. Like, not to say that I would have asked, I would have done it for him if he was nicer to me, but like I said, this was 24/7 work. It was never just editing. It was literally being an assistant. At one stage, he actually said to me when he paid me the last time we worked together, he said, "Yep, Clyde, you're coming back on, you're gonna be my channel manager." And I was like, yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my head. I also was so loyal to Seth too because he saw me as a bit of a threat due to how hard it was for me to be controlled and how I would always shit talk him. And unlike his usual lackeys, we used to argue a lot behind the scenes, but not many people even know about this stuff. As you can tell by our personalities on stream, we are very much like water and oil, and I did want to help him succeed, I truly did. Before we worked together, no one had helped me out financially like he did, and I grew up in a pretty bad area as a kid, which I don't want to exaggerate, but it was such a bad area that like pizza guys wouldn't even come to deliver pizza, and our school had to have like a massive steel fence put up around it because it was so violent in the area. There was shootings, gang violence. Most people I grew up with couldn't even afford to have school lunches or pay their bills. There were time periods when I was a kid where like my mother wouldn't even pay the internet bill for like 3 months. And sometimes we wouldn't even have enough for milk and bread because they would prioritize alcohol and cigarettes on top of that. But looking back, I gave him way too much credit for what was in truth to him pocket change. I mean, listen to him speak for himself. Seth has plenty of money. He's a millionaire. And this ties directly into Naruto versus Ichigo, which you guys are definitely interested in hearing about, especially after he cancelled it and only told his average 300 to 500 viewers on his Twitch. Naruto vs Ichigo was a project that came to fruition from our Madara vs Aizen video, which I slaved away and edited in record time. Seth always wanted to make it, and with our partnership of me being his editor and assistant, along with us being what I believe to be a cool replacement for Death Battle, it was going ahead. This project was always going to be beneficial for Seth, his channel, his credit, and his money going into it. I used to vocally always avoid taking any form of credit, even when I did the Patreon shoutout where I put it on my actual channel, which I then deleted when he accused me of being a bad friend out of literally nowhere. Then deleted me, due to me apparently not giving him enough attention when he thought that he was very sick from a certain thing which led to the world being locked down for the past 2 years. there will be an interview of me speaking with the head animator about the process of Naruto versus Ichigo. So if you want to know the actual full story about the whole project without Seth twisting it, you can listen to that, because this animator was too scared to even speak to me about this stuff without thinking that I was going to tell people about it. And I want his story to be told because he has been kept under Seth's thumb for such a long time. And if you guys see the shit that Seth has done to him over the years, you are going to be sickened. If the art and animation community has any balls and wants to come after one motherfucker, now's the damn time. Because with all of the crap that Omar has put up with over the years and how badly he's been treated, with no one being able to stand up and say something to defend him, I feel bad for him because he works so damn hard and I've never had a bad experience with him a single time. The interview will be linked below. Make sure you download it and share it everywhere. I would like his story to be told. I also removed our banger debunk of Madara versus Aizen because of cringe shit like this, where I confronted him and he tried to play it off as, oh, it's just my Seth character, Clyde. What do you mean, bro? That's how I act all the time, even though I know him better than anyone else, and it's very cringe to listen to an excuse like that. Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna say for Bleach, because even we have trouble with some of this shit, so...
I don't have no trouble with that. That's what you think. I'm a beast.
Shut up, bitch.
If you actually listen to the video, even Chuck makes fun of him here because he can hear how lame Seth's being. There were 3 occasions where I stood away from the project, and during the most recent time was the final one. This was mostly inspired by something I'll explain in a second, but let's run through some stuff about the project which, if I don't explain here, will never be told from my perspective, which I know I'm gonna get slandered for and thrown under the bus as a scapegoat.
Clyde has me blocked on Twitter. You know what I mean? He has me blocked, right? So I was actually going to continue animating or trying to get Naruto vs. Ichigo animated, but I got blocked by everyone. So like,
number 1, I helped the project get its initial Patreon money by uploading a shout out that I instantly deleted once Seth had spurged out in my messages about me apparently being a bad friend and not being available 24/7, when I also am juggling my own videos at the same time that he genuinely couldn't give a fuck about, to be honest. I bet if my channel had gotten taken down for copyright or hacked or something like that, he would have loved it, because then he would have had me under his thumb, completely reliant on him. Along with that, he has lied to you all about how much the project made and how much he did in regards to the project. In my content of the past, I hyped up Naruto vs. Ichigo all the time in videos that weren't even relevant to it, like for example, my Mugetsu video, and purposely hurt my own channel's content by having to avoid talking about war-related power scaling, as it would spoil the video as the anime is returning. On stream with him, I would always support him and help him get donations, whether it was in the chat or when we would stream together. I'd also do it on my own streams too by telling people to go to the Patreon. For the project, I helped him secure multiple voice actors. I sat through voice acting sessions to help him because he found the process too cringe to listen to, and the voice actors I secured were the official Ichigo voice actor, Johnny Young Bosch, whom I have endless emails and proof of our interactions. The Ichigo abridged voice actor as a backup, which you can see in the screenshot here. I still send to him when we aren't talking, right? We didn't have communication at the time, but I still send it to him while he's like threatening to do something to me and accusing me of stealing and being weird and apparently messing with his work and blah blah blah, all this other bullshit. And I even got him a replacement for Naruto, the Naruto Chibi voice actor. A very nice woman, by the way. I actually regret that I had to cut her off. And after I was able to get the real one to reply to us on Twitter, which he had no success with in the past, and I know it didn't work out the way that we wanted, obviously, the fact is, I got a reply out of her, which before that we could never get. Well, maybe not we, just him. By the way, Johnny Young Bosch and Kat, I do want to say this again, were amazing. I actually feel bad because I've kind of lost communication with them because of this, so it's a shame I had to cut them off out of fear that Seth would accuse me of trying to mess with the project if they were to repeat, yo, I spoke to your colleague Clyde, how's he doing? You know, if they said something like that, well, he'd just assume I was up to no good, which was never the case. I helped supervise the entire Bleach portion of the fight and was going to reread the series to scale Ichigo from start to finish, which he cancelled the idea of the fight breakdown itself, the part where we go through the stats and feats and explain who would win alongside the animation, because he wanted the clout from the fight being uploaded without any talking or anything like that, and he started to say that no one would be credited in the video after I confronted him about how he was acting weird in our second Patreon shoutout that never got uploaded. The audio for that was genuinely cringe, and you could hear that I was trying my best to never take too much credit, infer that I did more than he did, and to hype up Seth as much as possible. It was just embarrassing to re-listen to how much of a yes man I was being towards him, and how, like, in recording he would act different towards me as opposed to in private. I really didn't like the attitude that I was getting at all whatsoever. It was fucking embarrassing to be a part of. If someone donated for Naruto versus Ichigo stuff on my streams, and I implied this before, I'd always direct people and say, go to the Patreon, here's the link. I remember hyping up the chat one time so hard with him that I think we made like $15,000 in one stream, and trust me, I'm usually pretty good at that sort of stuff, but I really did try my best because I wanted him to get a shit ton of money on his stream so he'd be happy. You know what his response was? Oh man, Twitch took such a cut. I bet they didn't do that to you. And I'm just like, yeah, they did, bro. The last time I got a big stream, even close to that, I think the biggest one I had was 6K, which, you know, that's a lot of money. I only got paid half of the money because Twitch took half of it. And he just assumed by default, oh, woe is me. Seth loses again. Oh, I don't get all my money. Oh, I guess the world hates me. Which I've heard him say stuff like that countless times about how YouTube's unfair, everybody's against him. And I'm sitting here like, bro, like, I'm literally like carrying 2 channels, working my ass off while getting shit on 24/7 by you anytime you have a bad mood. How is your life in any way hard right now as a grown man? Like, yeah, whatever. Probably had a hard childhood from what I know about him, and the same goes with myself, but as it stood right there at that point in time, it was just so pathetic to listen to with someone that was passively making $20,000 to $30,000 a month bitching about how everybody hates him, while his comments have this loyal following that thinks he's God's gift to the earth when he's a fucking sociopath. It was just ridiculous to listen to. I couldn't believe it. There was one time, to give you guys context, where I was trying to relate my childhood to his, not in the sense of like playing Oppression Olympics or trying to say that mine was worse, because I never do that kind of thing. But I was just trying to say like, yo, I understand, bro. Like, you know, me and you have been alone since we were younger. You know, I'm trying to, you know, be man to man and human to human here and really relate, because he obviously can't relate to many people given his situation growing up. And I'm not going to explain it because I'm not an asshole like that. But that being said, he tells someone in private, man, Clyde tried to say that his childhood was like mine, and man, that just set me off. And when I heard this from that person who had reiterated it to me, I was literally dumbfounded to the point where I was like, that is pathetic. He legit thinks he's the main character of his story. Like, this is just embarrassing. Like, I just can't believe how much, like, talking about anime on YouTube and making money from it gives all these mentally ill influences this ego that's ridiculous. Kind of reminds me of the time when Heavenly Control literally tweeted that he was the main character. Pretty f***ing cringe. So, people always ask, how much did Clyde contribute to the project? Well, that's a very interesting question. So, I started to donate pretty frequently closer to the end of when we started to talk, because that's when I started to make decent money from both Twitch, sponsors, and my YouTube channel, because my YouTube channel was passively making some pretty decent money. I think some months I'd made maybe like 5 to 7K in a single month, which, like, I'm happy to always be transparent with that stuff, and, you know, I appreciate you guys very much. I will never be like a weirdo that's going to pretend I'm like making peanuts when I'm actually making decent money. But these YouTubers, yeah, we can, if we hustle, we can make some good money. But that's besides the point. I had plans to continue doing this, especially way more consistently. I think I donated around $2,000 to $3,000 in total to the project. The issue I always found was, why am I donating money that technically will come back to me when I edit for him? I'm his source of revenue anyway. And along with that, it was honestly risky because I had to juggle his channel and my own channel plus my finances, and at the time, if he wants to, he could just ruin my life by causing drama or lying about me. Would you guys be excited to throw cash into a very unreliable project, especially when it turned out there wasn't even any reason for me to be a part of it? He was going to scrap the idea of the fight breakdown anyway, which meant there'd be no talking in the video. He also deleted me off Discord and paid me back all the money when I confronted him over an issue which I was uncomfortable with. Which was a relief at the time, because he got the satisfaction of, yeah, I deleted Clyde, he didn't delete me, I'm in control. So I was like, whatever, have that little victory in your head. And then also, he paid me back all the money because he wanted to cut off any sort of credit from me on the project. That's how petty he is. I also never spoiled nor spoke about Naruto versus Ichigo's outcome, regardless of the slander I'd receive, or the lies that he would speak, or how much he would suck his own in relation to the work he put into the project. If you listen to the actual audio of me speaking to the animator, he confirms that if it was not for me, the project would have never gotten to the point that it did, both with the Bleach stuff and the Naruto stuff. I essentially carried every single bit of the Bleach scenes, except for one thing that I'll give credit to Seth for, was his writing on the narrative type story that he wanted to include with the Yuha stuff and all that for the Genjutsu scene. I was like, alright, whatever, I really like what he did with that, and that was cool. However, managing things like how the characters act in the verse, how Ichigo's powers work, how Ichigo should fight and transform in certain scenes, how his skin should connect with Naruto's punches like that. Like, should it be like normal skin, or should it feel like, I don't know, when he's in his hollow form, that it should feel like he's sort of hitting like bone, because that's how Hero is described. It's described to be bone that's sort of like protected by spiritual pressure. So when it connects, if you watch Ukiura versus Ichigo, there's like blue spiritual pressure sparking off of his like limbs. Grimjow was the same. I'd spend hours rendering out clips for reference scenes. I'd sit with the animator to make sure that I could show him exactly what I wanted for choreography. I'd always be nice to the animators too. One of my biggest complaints was always the faces with Ichigo, and he would go back and fix them up to copy what I wanted. And he would listen. Like, there is countless parts of the recording, which is huge, by the way, where we go through the whole project, and I hope you guys listen to it, because you guys are going to be shocked at the absolute crap that went on with that whole project and why I was obviously happy to step away from it. I also noticed as a part of Naruto vs Ichigo that he was getting weirdly jealous if people complimented me as the Bleach guy. Genuinely a pretty insecure person. He sort of hated Swag for the same thing too, because he was so successful with Naruto and really did not like Swag behind the scenes. I've heard Seth complain countless times about Swag in private. He may actually try and bring up that he had plans to give the project to me to upload when it comes to the fight breakdown. Not the animation, just the fight breakdown itself. However, he only decided this after I went off at him in call for acting like a snake towards me, and I had lost interest in the project by this point anyway. I didn't even care to be a part of it. I was literally sacrificing the biggest piece of advertisement for my own channel and the biggest piece of work that I could brag to people about and say, bro, look what we made together, bro. This shit was crazy. I even know people I went to school with that were aware of this that I never really told about my YouTube stuff. They were just like, hang on a minute, Clyde works with SethTheProgrammer and Swag Kage and all those guys. And then my friends who had contact with them would be like, yeah, he does. He's actually working on that project with Seth. And they were all shocked. But one of the reasons why I went off at him in call wasn't inspired by just anything. It was actually inspired by him messing with my relationship stuff outside of YouTube by stalking my following on Twitter to see who I was following, and then he'd follow that person and then see how I would react, and he actually did this more than once. And he kept asking me to get girls that I knew who could do art to make art for him because he knew that it bothered me to have them involved in work. I always want to separate that sort of stuff from YouTube. I don't feel comfortable mixing those things because I've just seen it go wrong way too many times, and from my experience, especially with the hostile community we're in, it just gives people endless ammo to talk about stuff like that. And I'm not the kind of person who would do that to others, but the proof's in the pudding. I mean, look how many people came at Swag and Alyssa back in, like, I think it was 2018 or 19. There was all these people from that sort of Afro Senju kind of community. And I don't want to put the blame on him, just to be clear, but there was a lot of people from that community who were trying to be really weird towards Alyssa. And, like, that's just an example of it. I'm like, nah, f this. I'm not being anywhere near that sort of stuff. So that's something that rubbed me the wrong way. And here's a recording that I had to record because of how uncomfortable I was in this call. So this is a recording of the day after I spoke to Seth, after I'd confronted him about this stuff, because I'd warned him. I was like, you know, stop bringing her up in call. Like, I don't feel comfortable with this dude. So he does it again. But this time, he was threatening to go to her to talk about relationship stuff with her in private to try and, like, mess with me. And I was like, nah, this is too far, man. Like, I'm on the line of, like, dealing with someone that, if I continue to take this sort of, like, disrespect, or it wasn't even disrespect, it was borderline evilness, that I had to look at myself and say, Clyde, you're being a bitch. You have to stand up for yourself. And, yeah, listen to the recording.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost did a naughty. I almost did a naughty, but I had self-control. I had character development.
What the fuck did you do?
So, I was gonna message that girl, and I was gonna be like, don't worry, I'm not doing it. But I was gonna do a naughty, and I was like, look, you should like, alright, keep this between us. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna like, keep it between us. But tell Clyde that I was like asking weird questions about his dating life, and that like, I was trying to get him like break up with his like girlfriend, like or something, like just to make him paranoid. I was on demon energy, bro. But I didn't do it. It was gonna be awful. But it's okay. I said no.
Cause like
when we first started calling, there was so much energy, and then when I like told you that, you got quiet.
Oh,
I was like, oh.
listen, I didn't know how to reply. It's like, do I pat you on the back for not
No.
doing something?
I know what you mean, but like then after that, like the energy of the call was just like low. I was like, oh god, what did I do? I shouldn't have said anything.
Well, yeah, it's like how do I reply to that? You know, it's like I was gonna do something that would have caused heaps of problems. You know, if I did the same to you, you'd be like, this.
It'll cause heaps of problems. Just make you paranoid. Wait, would it cause heaps of problems?
Maybe I just have to deal with replying to someone. That's about it. But I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I guess problems is an exaggeration. It's just more like, oh, now I'm gonna just deal with this. Like that'd be it.
It'd be fucking funny. God damn it! I wouldn't do that to you though. I'm reformed.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do it to you.
Why? You should. That'd be funny.
Yeah, what's the username of that girl you play with in League, huh? She'll come abuse me again.
I don't talk to her to begin with anymore.
It's all good. I'll send her after you anyway. Yeah, we go for a walk to 7.
Do you want it?
Like, no, I was joking.
Okay, I was about to say, like, she unfriended me. Like, I don't even talk to that.
Funny though. Because it was just gonna make you paranoid, but I wasn't actually gonna do that.
But I don't know what to say. I mean, like, yeah, good job for not doing it. I don't even know how she would have reacted. She would be like, what's going on?
Yeah, but I was just gonna be like, yeah, dude, Seth's trying to break you up with your girlfriend. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to see your reaction. But, I was like, oh no, probably should not do that. He already doesn't trust me enough.
I was confused by what you meant yesterday when you DM me, because I was like, did you mean video stuff? But then you're like, no, forget it. Like, what happened?
Oh, dude, yesterday I was depressed as fuck. I was like, oh, dude, it was so bad. I was legit just gonna like leave the internet and all kinds of shit, dude. So awful. But I had a revelation. I went into the abyss. I saw my reflection. And you know what? I came out a better man. And now I'm not depressed anymore. So it's cool. But yeah, I was legit just gonna be like, hey, let's do something, and then I was gonna like, no matter what we did, I was legit just gonna get off. Like, you probably weren't gonna see me again. So, good thing I got over that.
Yeah, when I first read it, I thought you meant videos, and I was like, wait, no, the way you worded it, and then...
Yeah, bro, I was gonna off myself. I'm not joking. But I got over it. And we are a different person.
So, I will not be discussing the names of these girls with the artist or the girl in reference to the recording, because regardless of how I may feel about them, and regardless of the fact that I don't speak to any of them anymore, I cut off every single person once he deleted me. I don't have any negative intentions towards them, and unlike him, I won't drag them into drama by name. I'm going to bleep out and make sure that they're censored and have nothing to do with the video because they don't deserve it. I have nothing but positive feelings towards those people. However, sadly, the situation is what it is, and it sucks to be in this situation. If he does talk about them, you'll see his character for how he actually is, which I predicted he will do anyway. As you can obviously hear in the recording, I sound incredibly uncomfortable. It's actually cringe to think that I'd allowed myself to be in this position with him, because it was like a slow burn of like dealing with, you know, little problems here and there, then bigger ones that I deal with. Then over time, you know, you get used to that, and you get used to, you know, worse things, and then you just sort of be like, oh, well, that's how Seth is, you know, I'm used to it by now. And that's a similar situation to how the head animator was with Seth. He had gotten to the point where he was too comfortable working with him and dealing with this kind of disrespect, and it's pretty sad because the amount of times I had to reiterate to him, dude, this is not cool. Like, it's one thing to care about someone, but like, you're getting disrespected to the point where he's literally playing with your ability to pay bills, and you're not seeing the bigger picture here. The amount of lives that he's ruined on a whim, not just for like fun, but to save his own credibility because all he cares about is himself, and people still can't see the bullshit. I want to add to this too, with the girl in the call that's referenced, I've heard him on occasions literally see her pop up on Twitter when I used to follow her, and he'd just be like, oh, there's that square-hipped ugly girl, verbatim to me, like some schizo shit. I'm sitting there just like, well, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that one. That was definitely not weird. And then he proceeds to pursue her anyway after I told him to stay away because I'm not comfortable with that. You'll notice in the messages too that when he offers to cut her off, he wants the power to say he did it of his own volition and that he did the right thing. But when I tell him to do it, he skitzes out and deletes me off Discord. You see what I mean? He was trying to do it to have something over my head to be like, yeah, Clyde, you're my bitch. I can talk to girls that you know and you can't do anything about it. Legitimately a schizo. And don't worry guys, that's just one example. There is much more stuff I'm going to get into. I want to say this too, Naruto vs Ichigo should have never been cancelled in the first place, and he keeps trying to play the excuse for it as it's all a part of the persona, you should have never donated to me, blah blah blah, just like really being manipulative and weird about the situation. So anyway, after all that bullshit, he goes on this publicity campaign with Six to try and save his ass by lying to 300 to 500 people, not his actual audience, which is closer to 1 million subscribers, and he just lies to everybody on stream. Now, I was reached out to by Omar and some people that are friends with Omar, and there is actually an opportunity to continue Naruto vs Ichigo, as the lead animator said he would love to manage it and I would essentially direct how things would go. But that's honestly entirely up to how you guys trust me with it, because there's a DM confirming that Seth didn't even want the project anymore. And here's another DM where he says, I'm just going to make it for money anyway. He didn't even give a fuck about the project after a while. He got so sick of having to manage it with every time he cut me off that he was like, fuck this shit, I'm done, I just want to get on to new work, which I've been told about by Omar himself. See, I would reimburse you myself all the money, but I never had access to the funds or the Patreon. All I had access to was the ability to post the link in the description of the shout out video. But just know this, although this video is going to cause an absolute shit show, and he's going to lie to no end, which I'm really excited to see what he says, or what secret recordings he has of me that he's going to spread around. For all I know, he's probably got a picture of my cock and balls by now, but anyway, I am open to finishing the project myself with Omar and whoever else wants to help, but yeah, that's going to lead to Seth coming after me, and the only reason I would do it is not to steal the spotlight, because I stood away from the project multiple times. It's never been an ego thing for me. I would just do it solely for you guys, because I know how many people wanted it to be done, and I can handle the scaling fine. All I'd have to do is reread Naruto and just make sure I've like cleaned up my knowledge on the data books, and I would have it fine. You guys know that when it comes to my Bleach content, I am second to none with this stuff, so I'd try my best, but again, it's up to you guys. Seth would also say weird stuff to me in private, and it's uncomfortable to like even re-say this stuff, but he would say shit to me like, Australians are good once you whip them in line, because he had so much trouble with our culture of shit talk on Discord. Fam Dingo, myself, and many other Australians would always try to banter with him, but it was like trying to get a robot to talk to us. And what was more weird is like any chance he got to shit talk me, he would do it with people that weren't even that close to him. Like, for example, there was someone who I won't say by name, but he was a God of War scaler, we'll just say that. And like, he barely even knew the fucking dude and would talk about the way I would look to him in private as if that's normal behavior all the time. What's worse about the situation is that Seth would complain to me that he didn't have any true friends like the circle that I had, but every time we would try to include him in, say, watching the UFC live together, or anything for that matter like playing games, he would either not participate or he'd just randomly leave voice calls if he got bored. He also left my servers multiple times, making this even more difficult because he hated being around my friends. So even though I made efforts to have him a part of this stuff and people were open to doing it, even though a lot of people actually didn't really like being around him, I had to dance and control the conversation so that he wouldn't leave. It was weird, like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like an abusive relationship. To test this theory too, I was actually in a public VC in my server, and I think I was doing some editing at the time, or maybe I was, I don't know, watching like Painkiller already or something like that. And Seth joins and I see it, and you know, I'm talking with him for a little bit, and I wasn't really keen to speak with him, to be honest. So I messaged my friend Charlie and I'm like, yo, join the VC because I know he's going to get bored and he'll leave. And didn't take very long. 10 minutes later, he leaves the call because he didn't want to talk to my friend. So he never actively even tried to make an effort. And when people would speak to him and like have actual good conversations with him, or at least they thought they would, he'd like randomly mute his mic, or he'd be like, yeah, I'm back. And it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it is just not normal behavior. I had plenty of times where I had to complain about him over the same thing while playing Red Dead Redemption with him too. You know, you guys are probably thinking like, this sounds like a made up story because it's so ridiculous, but if you guys knew how fake he is on stream as opposed to how he acts in private, you'd know exactly why I'm describing him this way. Almost every time I'd listen to him interact with his mods, it was all these people that were whipped in line and were so used to his weird, fake, American Psycho Patrick Bateman personality that they had no idea they were being played like a fiddle. I also attribute that Seth having trouble with Bucky and satire would also add to this disdain for Australians because he really does not like us. And listen, I'm not ultra patriotic, but Australians are pretty famous around the world for being nice people, and I didn't like sitting there and hearing this bullshit in call. I'm sure if I look through my PC or my portable hard drive, which has a lot of recordings on there, oh my god, so much Discord stuff, there's probably multiple recordings of stuff like this in there. Here's something pretty cringe, by the way, to really put into wider perspective as to how much I really didn't like talking to him or hanging out with him and how much it was really suffocating. I once blew $1,000 on lottery tickets because I wanted to win so I could pay him back what he had paid me in total and more, and then I wanted to delete him off everything, just so that he couldn't be like, oh, well, I've given him money and look what he, you know, I just wanted that excuse completely gone, just because it was like, I've never met someone who, on one hand, will act like he's doing a good service by giving money to those and helping people out, but then on the other hand, it's nothing but ammo. Like, it's really the opposite of the kind of person he was trying to portray himself as. I once heard him say this thing to me once where he said that he wanted to give money to homeless people, right? We were talking about how whenever I go to the city, I always give homeless people money. I did it when I went to Sydney too, because I couldn't believe how many homeless people were in that, like, that crossroad part where the massive, sort of like the mall is with the multiple stories. I see this homeless dude there, and instead of giving him coins, I gave him a $10 note, right? And I was explaining that to him, and he said, yeah, I think I just one time gave this dude like 50 to 100 bucks randomly because, you know, like I just didn't want to end up like him. And I was just like, you didn't give it to him because, you know, like you feel genuine compassion for him. And that was how he replied. I think he said some shit where it was like he wanted to give him money so that he couldn't imagine himself ending up like that guy. And I was just like, maybe it was miscommunication and he spoke weirdly, but it just always was burnt into my head because if I give money to someone, I don't do it for the ability to brag. I do it because I want to legit help someone get out of a shit situation. And yeah, to stroke my own cock here, right? We f***ing help someone, right? Save their job and not go homeless because we made a GoFundMe. And to this day, it's still one of the coolest things which I've been able to do because I'm fucking happy that beyond just making anime content, right? For a lot of people who don't really care that much about me beyond just like listening to me talk about Bleach, there are a lot of awesome people out there who I fucking love that were like, yo, let's help this guy out, and they maxed out the donation goal. So, I don't know, like, it'd be cool in the future to do more shit like that if, you know, this all blows over and whatever, but yeah, there you go. Seth also bragged to me in private about getting away with the satire situation and the whole stream that we did together, which, like, oh, I should have never been a part of, but his whole thing was, man, my rhetoric was really good. Look at what I did there, guys. Not the fact that he defended being called a pedophile, like a... Isn't that the main thing you're sort of trying to dispute here? Like, yeah, legitimate delusion. He didn't care about the truth, he only cared about his image, just like the Surfbone situation. Even when we played League of Legends while we would play on Oceania, he would refer to Australians as prisoners and other terms, etc., which was super tone deaf because it clearly made me very uncomfortable mid-game. I didn't want to sit there and like go, yeah man, Australians, real dumb people, huh? Like what? Like, I'm not gonna be a part of that. It's just so weird. What was annoying about playing LoL with him too was that we'd have some good games and then he'd get burnt out and he would start to be an asshole towards me if I made mistakes. And here's the problem, I never asked to play with him majority of the time. It was 90% him being like, yo, you know, you want to hang out in Corn and play some LoL? And I'm like, sure. But then it would always go negative and I'm just like, dude, I don't even like playing with you. Why are you doing this to me? He did it on stream too a few times where we played League of Legends, but then afterwards he's like, bro, you should have told me to shut up. And I'm just like, I can't do that though, because if I give you attitude on stream and it goes the wrong way, it's going to be awkward as fuck on stream. So I'd always have to conform my personality to suit him on stream. There was even a call where Cubic, the challenger player who I sort of referenced before, was giving me tips and Seth was calling me an idiot and saying that I wouldn't listen to them. I once made him rage quit a Discord call because he died in game and I said the phrase certified Seth moment, to which he was saying that I was attacking his character. It was legit just a bad joke, to be honest, but like, I don't know how he interpreted it that way to the point where he was that bothered that he had to leave the call, but whatever. I've even avoided him so much that I blocked him on all social media, and even when he was slandering me on his streams, I simply ignore it, tried to be a decent person, actively wanted to avoid the drama and him, just wanted to do my YouTube stuff, right? But he actively made this video happen. I didn't want to make it, but I've been backed into a corner. And I know that his plans, because he freaked out during the Naruto versus Ichigo stuff, was that, oh shit, well I guess I got Clyde as a scapegoat, huh? I guess I can lie about it and pretend it just doesn't exist while it all blows over? Well, no, you cannot do that. It's funny too, because there was even a stage where he even wanted me to help him make his tweets how to talk to a Japanese girl, and I motivated him to not only get his veneers, but to take up MMA again, which he absolutely over-exaggerates his fighting ability about, because I don't enjoy talking about this, but I just can't stand people who lie about shit like this. I find it cringe when people pretend they can fight and they can't. However, when I listen to him talk about this shit on stream or in videos, it's cringe. He didn't even script his fucking video on Mike Tyson versus Bruce Lee because Noodles took care of it himself and got no credit for it. After he's seen the success of the Conor McGregor video, which by the way, he tried to instigate a debate between Noodles and I on MMA, because he didn't like people stroking my knowledge on the subject, and instead, Noodles and I ended up agreeing on everything, and now watch the UFC together pretty frequently. Also, by the way, Seth hasn't even watched my biggest video of all time, the Conor video, or any of my Bleach videos with 1 million+ views. How are you gonna see your friend's channel popping the fuck off, but you haven't even watched his most successful videos? Instead, in Call, he listened to an alleged pedophile by the name of Splash and Jade give their thoughts on my Conor video and tried to point out that the dislikes was a bad sign, projecting his own insecurity onto me, when in actuality, anyone who knows about the video, Habib fans spammed the video with dislikes because of what I said about him, and Conor fans disliked it because of the title. There are people out there, and it doesn't surprise me because MMA fans for the most part tend to be meatheads, no offense. They think the video is about me talking about Conor's bank account based on that title. It's clearly a play on words and the whole King stuff related to, you know, his career, but no, they just think like, what are you talking about, man? He's a millionaire, you got no money like he does, and I'm just like, dude, watch the video. You might also know that he got a lot of flack back in the day for the Logan versus KSI 1 fight that he reacted to with Parrot, and this has nothing to do with Parrot here, but the lack of knowledge on the video really got him a lot of shit in the comments and on Discord, but even still, when he was streaming with me one time, I actually had to avoid correcting him on Adesanya being slandered on stream because he said Adesanya wasn't really a good fighter, and I was just like, I don't know, bro, like he's kind of like on his way to beating Anderson Silva's defense record, and he's beating everybody like they're trash except for Calvin Gastelum, and I was like, do I hold my tongue? Do I correct him? Like, you know, I'd always have to be careful with stuff like that on stream. It was actually a debate that I had with him in private about a strongman versus Francis Ngannou, and he took the side of the strongman, and Noodles can attest because he was there that I stopped debating because I was like, I need to be careful because he's going to get pissed if I beat him on this. And yeah, he thought that the strongman could just choke out Francis Ngannou, and I was like, wow, it's just anyone who knows anything about fighting, Francis Ngannou would chin any man on the planet, except for obviously, you know, if you're talking strictly boxing, he'd have trouble with a boxer of the same weight division, but we're talking just like normal street fight, like no random dude who lifts weights is going to touch Francis Ngannou in any conceivable way. It's just common sense. He could have 100 pounds on Francis, and Francis is just going to be like, oh wow, this dude doesn't know how to throw punches or escape out of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu transition or defend a leg kick, and his perennial nerve is f***ed, and now he's on the ground and I'm choking him out and he's dead. Like, you know, there you go, stuff like that. But anyway, that aside though, he actually attempted to stop James from shooting his shot at a cosplayer that was interacting with him on Twitter in like 2019 or 2020. I think what happened was that Seth followed the girl to try and get her attention so that she'd follow, you know, him instead. And it was just weird. I was just like, why are you doing that to James? Like, he hasn't actually done anything hateful towards you ever. Like, maybe you think his like videos are bad, or you might think he's dumb or something like that, which he obviously does. And I just couldn't fathom it. I'm like, why do something so cruel like that to him? It was just ridiculous to listen to. He also did something weird like that towards me, where he forced me to let him add this girl that could debate, and like, if she's out there, she'll probably know what I'm talking about, but I actually cut her off entirely, not because I had anything against her, like, and I regret being a cunt to her because I was pretty rude towards her in the sense of just, like, deleting her and being real dry with my replies, but I actually did it because I was like, shit, now I gotta fucking cut this girl off because now shit's fucking weird. Like, I was just like, nah, I want out of this, and I did, but that's an example of it too. Oh, and yeah, here's him stalking a girl I know's Instagram story, which she showed it to me. He was even gonna try and fuck this girl called Haley, who, although at the time was 18, was a girl that was being groomed by a guy I referenced earlier as a friend, right? His name was Tippo, and he hid her age for years to the point that this entire series of events and endless recordings and emails that I have where I went to the police to take care of this situation, right, to get rid of him, the only reason Seth disliked him so much wasn't for the obvious reasons we'd all expect. It was because of some dispute they had over audio work. And don't worry, if I need to defend myself on this situation, I 100% will, because I have all the emails, all the recordings, all the evidence, and I will not be blamed for the fact that one of the guys I met in your server, Seth, turned out to be a pedophile who was doing audio for us on the side. To mention this again, you'll also probably think that it's weirdly similar to the Surfbone situation, and it is. he didn't care whether Surfbone was a rapist or not. And to give the TLDR version of this, basically, someone on Discord overspoke and they had said that they had drunk sex with a girl. Seth decided to turn this person into an alleged rapist. Surfbone got the girl involved to defend him on call, clear his name, etc. Seth didn't care at all whatsoever, threw him completely under the bus. Now, I want to actually say this too. I, for the longest time, thought Surfbone was a goofy motherfucker that I didn't like speaking to, but when I seen that shit happening, it was just wrong. Didn't feel right, the fact to see something like that going on, so that just, again, just more and more evidence to show that the dude's a weirdo, and he was willing to do that to a complete stranger just to save his own ass when he got critiqued for doing it. Also, he accused me of trying to steal money from him in 2019, and I was so emotional that I was literally crying in call, and I said, bro, I didn't have any intentions to do anything like this. I've always had respect for you, and I appreciate how much you've helped me, and tried to equate his 2018 paranoia to this as if I had some weird fucking master plan, when in truth, we all thought that he was fucking crazy and impossible to be around because he was so weird to deal with. Even having a friend that was associated with someone that he disliked by extension, I'd get the blame for it somehow. The same thing also happened countless times with Omar, and he'd occasionally say the same about MJ in private whenever MJ would take too long to edit videos. And in all fairness, like, I love MJ, he is a nice guy, but he would take a long time with videos. But even still, he just instantly just jumped to like, oh, he's trying to steal money and me over. I bet he prefers geekdom. He'd rather lick geekdom's asshole. You know, just language like that, just whatever. And it was like that with everybody. Like Omar of all people. So when I spoke to Omar, I couldn't fathom how oblivious he was to Seth's like true character. And whenever Omar messages me, I'm always surprised at how nice he is. Like, this man sends me love hearts. He's always nice as hell. He's always like, yo, I'd love to do art for you. I'd love to work with you. And I'm just like, dude, like, how could you speak to someone of all people like him like that? And Omar had told us that Seth not only was paying him a lesser rate, because Omar agreed to it, but Omar had lost job opportunities to focus on Seth's work that would have paid better. And he was telling us that the majority of his psychology appointments was due to Seth's stress, and how his girlfriend, work colleagues, and others had told him to get away from Seth multiple times, including, like I said before, the people who stood away from the project that said, no way, this guy's crazy. I mean, shit. I made a blue Prius joke towards Seth once in call, which is some weird... I don't even understand the reference, I just copied it because it sounded funny. So basically, from what I understand, people used to lie and say he used to drive a blue Prius. If I used to drive a Prius and now I make a shit ton of money on YouTube, wouldn't you rep that because it's funny? Like, yeah, bro, I used to drive this shit box, bro. Now look at where I am. I'm bowling. Like, wouldn't you brag about that? Well, anyway, I made that joke towards him, and he fucking went off. He's like, where'd you hear that from, huh? What was that? What was that reference? I know what you were saying. I'm just like, dude, I didn't mean anything beyond just making a joke. That's it. Like, I won't make it again if you want. And it was just like, why am I going to be so careful with everything I say in VC like that? I have so many screenshots, and I can go back and get even more if necessary, right? From our old DMs and stuff that's on old hard drives, where me just reading them, it makes me uncomfortable to look at because of how much I was getting fucked with by him and how, like, soft I was to not do something about it back then, which is more sad to look back and think, damn, I was really getting taken advantage of. And I was at my lowest point. I was considering suicide so often, right, that I would just randomly delete my social media accounts and videos and be like, yep, the channel looks clean, I'm just going to do it this weekend. And I literally bought a will kit to write out who would get all my belongings before I did it. Oh, and the call that I referenced just before about how I was crying in call trying to defend myself, which at this point some people would say that's embarrassing, but it's true. Like, I was so upset that I literally cried because I was like, dude, like, how are you speaking to me like this? Like, how could you accuse me of stealing? I've done nothing but be nice to you, and like, all I've ever asked for is extra time on videos. Like, it was fucking depressing. I hope that whole call exists from its start to finish in recording, because if it does, you will see how much of a manipulative rat that he actually is. Because it got to the point where I started apologizing for shit that I didn't even do wrong, just to make him feel better. I was like, man, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm so sorry for what I did in 2018. And I'm just like, why was I even apologizing? I actually didn't even do anything wrong, but I was doing it because I felt bad by extension of how much he was implying that I was an asshole and like a money-stealing rat, which was just never the truth. And that call started, to give you context, because he wanted to confront me over a random joke I made in front of Webcam Parrot the day before, where I said that Seth loved traps. And he was adamant. He's like, I'm not gay. He also did something similar with Chuck and I years ago, where he took us into private calls because we kept saying that he was gay. It was just banter. Like, I couldn't even care less if he actually was gay. It wouldn't have fucking mattered. I grew up with someone on Xbox from 2009 until 2015 who used to lie about his sexuality for years, came out to me as gay, and I was like, I mean, I'm shocked, but I don't care. Like, you know, whatever makes you happy, bro. And I've had no issues about that. Ridiculous. On his streams too, and he's done this a lot even recently, like how he would brag about that he could physically assault myself, Swag, or Chuck whenever people would ask who would win in a fight, and he just sits there and brags about it like a schizo for like fucking 10 minutes, like, yeah bro, I'd fuck him up and stuff. Like, oh, for example, during KSI versus Logan 1, when we had drama during that time period, he made this tweet where he said that he could whoop Swag, Chuck, and I's ass at the same time, and we were all tagged in it, right? And then 8 hours later, he just randomly re-likes his own reply so that we could see it. Like, that's normal behavior. Even during the drama, someone was slandering him on Twitter, right, at this time period, and they were saying that, like, you know, his videos are shit and blah, 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 and I was like, this is why I said, I was like, nah, bro, he bought all the manga for a series just to make one video on it, man. Like, regardless of all this bullshit, man, he works hard. Seth likes it because he's like, yes, Clyde's fucking, he's stroking my ego, loving it. And I'm like, man, that's the kind of person I was towards him during the worst part of my life when he's trying to make me homeless. Along with this, I was shown a screenshot where someone had accused Seth of apparently making a girl suicidal or allegedly killing herself. I can't remember the specifics, but here's the screenshot right now. As I'm recording this, I'm just trying to remember what it was exactly, but I know that I have the image itself on the USB. And I showed him in private in case it was fake, when I could have just kept it to myself to use as ammo in case he popped off at me like he always randomly would. Though he may try to paint me as a money-loving rat, why would I do something like this for him? It just makes no sense. I even threw Trini and everyone under the bus to show that I was still loyal to him back in 2018, who were trying to help me, and went against all my friends' advice to cut him off. For the sake of perspective, why would I break away from him unless I genuinely hated working with the guy? I lose free promotion, Naruto vs Ichigo, payment to edit, and much more. It was so bad that I was willing to try and get loans, ask friends for money, and other means to get out of this situation. Even if I got a side job during this time period, or any of the time periods where I wanted to stop working for him for that matter, it would have been impossible to collect all of the money and time because, as he says in the screenshot, he was going to pursue me regardless. Plus, how am I meant to balance my mental health and our channels, right, at the same time? It would have been actually impossible. I was literally stuck. Along with that, it should be a testament to how absolutely miserable I was being under his thumb. I wanted to stop working with him in 2018, and in retrospect, I absolutely should have fucked him over like I was being accused of all the time, because he did deserve it. I've always given him credit for helping me financially. I even helped stage tweets to give him bragging rights over it to paint him in a good light. I started this YouTube thing because it's all I've had since I was a kid, and instead I've had to sit on stream for the past probably 2 years, right, on and off, miserable because no one knows my side of the story, the shit that I've been going through, and my passion for this is so fucking burnt out from wasting so much energy on his channel that I don't even enjoy this as much as I once did. You know why I barely upload? Because I was so depressed and so trapped in my situation with no family and no support from anyone in this situation that my plan has been to kill myself if YouTube dies, because it's all I fucking have. I tried to do the right thing in 2018 by leaving him and offering to pay him back, but he didn't let me fucking leave and said multiple times he wouldn't stop even if I paid him. So I'll say this, I'm glad I got all that money from you, Seth, because I tried my very best to be a decent person with helping you secure a bag, get deals, even while you were too childish about doing them. So I did all the work to manage them. I tried my best to help rep him to the point where people just painted me as a Seth clone and fanboy. I'd essentially carry his streams when we were together. And yeah, he's right. I guess he is kind of like Homelander, because fucking the whole time it's felt like I've had to keep this stuff lock and key because he has the public convinced that he's the smartest man alive. He's the nicest person ever, right? Why would I want to be a part of Naruto vs Ichigo? It was a toxic project that was entirely about Seth, and even the lead animator was treated like garbage. Just read the way Seth is treating Omar here, who is an absolutely amazing dude, and I regret ever speaking badly about him, as this was a byproduct of being around Seth and trying to play to his tune and be a yes man to prop him up like, yeah, Seth, yeah, he is a douchebag, he is a rat, which in itself, pretty weak of me to do that, but it's just an example of how in deep I was with him. I actually want to straight up apologize to most people out there that I've been an asshole to, whether it's a debate, whether I've cut someone off, whether I've just been like flip-floppy and just stopped talking to you for whatever reason. For example, someone like Sasuke Solos, like, no beef towards you, bro, it's been many years and stuff, but that's someone that always comes to mind, just a random person I interacted with plenty of times. People in my Twitch chat, Discord, people I cut off due to Seth not liking them, and I did it all out of loyalty to him. Just anyone for that matter. I'm not going to say that I'm excused because I'm not, but a lot of it was a product of the situation, expectation, and just what I was involved with at the time. You know, I had sort of a standard that I was holding myself to try and be like up there with Seth with the debate stuff, but in truth, I just look like an asshole. You know, all my talents that I've had have been wasted on him. All my talents with debate stuff and all that stuff have been wasted because I put it into anime shit, which is just whatever, don't really care. But yeah, if I do apologize to those out there who may have had bad experiences with me in the past, and I hope that it can be accepted to some degree because I'm not trying to be manipulative with this. It's just the truth. I do apologize. I even cut off nice people like Galvino so that it wouldn't get in the way of him potentially doing audio for Seth, and if, you know, he needed him at any time. I took an L for Seth, and Galvino had said multiple times he had no problems with me, but I still did it because I was like, yep, I don't want to be accused of trying to steal his audio guy too, so I'm just going to leave him alone. If any other YouTuber abused their power like this, they would never have a fucking platform. I mean, the lies go so far that anytime he stated his accounts got hacked, it was because he deleted them, and I know that because I was in call with him while we lied to the public about it. I wonder why he was hiding all of his social medias. Probably some weird stuff out there that keeps coming up from the old days, Seth. I wonder what other stuff is going to come out if you keep kicking the bee's nest. Along with this too, here's a screenshot of him stealing credit from the animator. And the animator had told us that because of this, he can't use it in his work portfolio to show it off to people because Seth has taken credit for it. And he also rarely ever gave me credit for the videos I would edit for him unless I would vocally say it in front of him on stream, because it was kind of hard to dispute if I was to say, wait, no, I did work on it, here's proof about it, you know, which would look weird. But I would also try to avoid that just to stroke his ego. Here's him lying about editing the Kratos video as an example. Oh, where's my credit? Me and Corey worked our asses off on that video to make it good. Corey actually used his ability to cut in text on the screen. I did all the scan stuff and then like put the video together and the music choice. I came up with the whole Conor McGregor skit at the start. No one even knows about this shit. They all just give the credit to Seth. One of the bigger issues was the lack of wanting to give people credit to. It's not even like, I don't want to ask for credit, because it's one of them things where, aren't you proud that one of your closest friends is making banger content and staying up doing all-nighters for you and like work their ass off for you? Like, where is the satisfaction in that? Because there should be. Like, you should legitimately be happy, like, Clyde, you did a fucking good job. And that was a big rarity that I'd ever hear stuff like that, man. And if he did it way more, who knows? We probably would still be friends right now, man. Like, if he was way more positive towards me and all these other friends, which he just never is because his mood is, like, literally the flip of a coin. It's very risky. It's like, today is he going to be normal, or is Seth going to be a weirdo for no reason because he's in a bad mood and can't control his emotions? But anyway, that's what a normal person would do. Seth clearly ain't normal, and payment aside, I always went above and beyond for him. He paid me around, and I want to say it's in the ballpark of 30 to 35,000 Australian dollars over the course of 4 years, but like I said, it wasn't just editing, and if I had just focused on my own channel, I would have been self-sufficient by this point anyway. I partially did this out of passion for him, but he was always so flip-floppy and a loose cannon, and he might say, what do you mean though, Clyde? I gave you the shoutouts to help blow up your channel, but it's just like, dude, all that would have happened is that it would have taken me an extra year to blow up on YouTube anyway. Meanwhile, his channel would have stagnated while Swag Kage would have popped off, and so would have I anyway, so it's just cringe to listen to this shit because, like, listen to the way he talks about, say, like, Six on stream, right? And then he says stuff like he could have did all this YouTube stuff without us. He thinks Six is a loser, and Six is meant to be one of his, like, closest friends. That's what the public thinks. He said countless stuff like this about me too on streams, and, well, the ones I've heard anyway, so, haha, yeah. He'd also do the same with Chuck, and he'd do it just to get a laugh from a random stranger in the comments that will never speak to him beyond just a random comment like, hey Seth, who would win? My father I haven't seen in 20 years, or Popeye? And I tried to bring up, like, the situation with Seth to Chuck pretty recently, just to see, like, what he thought about, like, the way that we've been treated over the years. And Chuck, for some reason, is in, like, this mindset that he brought everything onto himself because Seth has convinced him of it. Proper mentally ill manipulation. I mean, here's an example. So, Noodles doesn't even like Chuck, and back in the day had a lot of beef with Chuck, but even he himself has said that it was Seth's fault, and he still won't take responsibility for it. I've said similar stuff to Seth plenty of times, like, bro, take accountability, man. Like, the reason people get so bothered with you is because you don't apologize genuinely. It's always just like a half-assed sort of like, I mean, we're friends again, so it's all blown over, yeah, but he never really thinks he's done the wrong thing, which is just weird to me. I'd actually like to also dedicate some time to highlighting how odd his true character is behind the scenes, because to this very day, after knowing Seth for 6 years, I still don't know his actual first name. And along with that, the closer I got with him, the more I realized he has some very weird narcissistic traits. He even admits here in 2 messages that he is mentally ill, but he's self-aware and tries to use it as leverage against Omar. I can say in all honesty, no matter how much I thought Seth and I were close friends, that there was still reason for me to be careful with what I told him, and I was closer with him than almost anyone. Sadly, this wasn't paranoia either, because his eagerness to instantly shit-talk me and others on his stream was so commonplace that it was disappointing, which I'd never do, and I always avoided doing it to him because I knew that he would throw a fucking tantrum if I said anything about him. If I even mentioned him in casual conversation, I'd try to avoid even talking about him. It didn't even matter what the context was, because if someone said, Clyde was talking about you on stream, his instant thought is, oh, what does he shit-talk me? What did he say on stream? Did he say something about Naruto versus Ichigo? Seth even at one stage wanted me to help him write messages to this, quote, wealthy, overweight girl so he could try and slip his way in with her to get money. I'm not even kidding. The League of Legends challenger player Cupic knows this girl, and I don't know what sort of terms they're on, so depending on what terms they're on depends on if we'll get an honest answer about this, but Cupic actually does know this person, and that's how they got into contact, and I just don't even know what to say. It's so ridiculous to think about, but he might try and spin this as, why would I ask Clyde for help? Didn't his ex leave him? But that's irrelevant, because having trouble with one person you genuinely care about doesn't mean I'm now McLovin all of a sudden with women. He actually asked me for help with speaking to women and even wanted me to assist him with setting up his dating profiles. Despite his facade, he's actually quite antisocial. I guarantee that if I met him in person, he'd be a big shy boy too, which I wish I actually did, because, actually no, I better be careful, he might beat me up. When I became friends with Sniper Wolf, he was trying to imply that I should, like, try to make my moves on her, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty fucking intimidated to speak to her, because 30 billion subscribers was a fucking big deal, and he was sort of like hinting like, yo, you should help me fund Naruto versus Ichigo by doing that, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I literally didn't know how to react without being like, there was a really bad situation here. So on one hand, I had to be like, yeah, man, I'll do that. Yeah, bro, that's it. Yeah, I'll slip in. But I'm clearly bullshit, right? And on the other hand, I'm like, I feel like a male prostitute right now. What is this shit? Seth even at one point tried to tell me he was coaching Cupic and Yozu, who are challenger players at League of Legends. Coach challenger players at League of Legends. I want to put that into perspective so you guys understand how big of a deal that is, alright? Because League of Legends is one of the most popular games on the planet. These people are in the top 300 of one region out of millions of players. And Cupic was ranked in the top 10 of the entire ranked leaderboard of North America. I even cut off Cupic and Yozu, who were nothing but nice to me, and I fucking liked those guys. They were fucking really cool to me, yeah? And they were gonna help me out with fucking coaching on League of Legends, because I actually am shit at League of Legends, and I can admit that, just for Seth's paranoia during a time period, right, where we were not talking. I also did this so that he couldn't use Cupic to get to me so that we could make a connection to talk. I didn't want anything to do with him. He's also attempted this multiple times and was even in my Twitch chat back in around August, September, which was 8-ish months post us not talking, where he said we were done for good, so I kind of decided, okay, this is my way out, I'm not speaking with him ever again. He also claims on stream that he didn't need any of us, but here he is begging for a thumbnail. It's almost like I did in fact help him with his channel and helped him carry it. Damn, what's that? Clyde actually has a bit of talent and actually worked his ass off for Seth? Wow. Better be careful, Seth might get insecure. Cupic, by the way, I do want to emphasize this, is such a nice person, and I feel bad that I had to distance myself from him, because when you see tweets like these, you can understand why I'd want to stay the fuck away from Seth. Definitely not aimed at me, or Noodles, or Parrot, or any of these people who he hasn't talked to in voice chat for 12 months. For starters, his actual accolades, outside of being a voice in a video that he doesn't even edit, and usually has others scale and script for him, well, he doesn't really have much talent in that department either, unless it's on stuff that he knows well, like Naruto or Dragon Ball. His career's scary mystique has revolved a lot around his debate anyone persona, which that in itself is pretty cringe, because his greatest wins are all against anime fans and anime YouTubers, and people who he has bullied into submission in his servers anyway, because if they talk him too hard, they're obviously going to be gotten rid of, so they can't really overstep that. Or he tries to keep ammunition on people to keep them in line. Like, he used to try to spread this that Taurus was a pedophile because of some stuff to do with him being a teacher and him, like, looking at young girls or something like that. Just ridiculous behavior. I'll give you some perspective. He was so nervous before debating King of Lightning because I suggested he should debate King of Lightning because I thought that he would be able to beat him, right? And I was like, that's good for your career. You should treat your career as kind of like an NBA sort of like perspective, where it's like, if you're famous for doing something all the time, which is beating everybody, or, you know, beating people where like you can sort of like take their name value, because, you know, King of Lightning I don't believe is a good debater, but in his community he has name value. So if you beat him and it's on YouTube, the normie fans don't know the difference. And I'd always tell him this and try to be like, yo, you might think it's a waste of time, but these collaborations with Geeton will help you, these collaborations with Swag are good for you. It's beneficiary in the long run because it makes you look good. And I was always telling him about that, and I helped him build that sort of persona from the start, because he wouldn't have done it otherwise, because he didn't have the fucking common sense and knowledge to be like, yo, maybe I should kind of be like an MMA fighter or a boxer, where like, if I do get a notorious name around me, I'm gonna look unstoppable. And that's essentially what I helped him build. He once said to me in call, and I'm not even kidding here, he said, well, Clyde, I've done it. I'm the best debater, man. I'm pretty much ready to retire. And I was literally dumbfounded of the absolute lack of self-awareness that he had from drinking his own Kool-Aid. I pretty much laid it out to him. I said, Seth, bro, like, you know, no disrespect to you, but the people you've beaten are Discord debaters and anime fans. Like, you could go into a random university and debate one of the philosophy teachers, and they would probably shit on you. Like, no crap. Like, I wouldn't even say anything like that about myself. Like, I'd like to think I'm a pretty competent individual based on the way I form my videos, talk on stream, etc. You guys know. Okay, now, I know for a fucking fact, in the politics server alone, there's probably 2,000 individuals that would make me look retarded in VC. You know why? Because I'm not fucking delusional. At the time, there was also talks of Seth debating people like Destiny and Jack Anstrike, or whatever the f his name is. You guys would know who I'm talking about, but his excuse was, oh, we couldn't find a topic, and he tried to reach out on an old account and nothing happened. But I'm just gonna say it right now, I'll f***ing debate Destiny. I'll show you guys how much of a pussy he is. Throw me on stream, Destiny. I'll debate you on anything. We can talk about politics, sports, media, anything. I'll f***ing debate you. There's my official challenge. Clyde f***ing challenges Destiny to a debate. Even when he and I would debate on certain topics, I'd always refrain from being too dominant on certain topics, because he just gets too fucking aggressive if he feels like he's losing, or like his quote-unquote you're being a rat behavior, which he did to Noodles when Noodles was beating him. And I'm sure he's got so many secret recordings of me, which he's going to probably release and be weird. But we've debated, for example, we once debated over the Kaha Nagashionn, which he wanted to upload and try to get brownie points of, hey, look, I beat the Bleach guy. Like, it was such a weird thing to do, because I was his friend and he wanted to get that dub over me, which was, it was honestly borderline casual fucking conversation, which he was wrong about. He took the stance of, well, if you throw the Kaha Nagashionn dice at someone, they get sealed regardless of where it is. And I said, no, because why did Grimjow put himself in danger to open Ukiyo's clothing to put it inside the hollow hole where the soul chain is located? That was my argument. And somehow I lost that, apparently, but there you go. In 2021, we debated on Francis Ngannou and if he could beat a strongman, which was just fucking ridiculous, and I dropped it, as I said before, and it was in front of Noodles, and he can attest that I was winning that. He would have been salty as fuck. I mean, me even saying this in a video was going to make him so angry, so whatever, I don't care, it's just the truth. It's actually weird too, because when I was training Muay Thai in 2019, he made this comment towards me, which is just fucking so weird. He said, oh, if you were to do MMA, you'd be one of those prelim guys that never makes it and gets knocked out, something to that effect. And I was like, that's not like a normal thing to say to a friend whatsoever. Like, or even in a joking way, that's such a disgusting thing to say. He sent me this BBC article about how people who follow celebrities, they have low IQ. I'm like, I ignore it, and I'm thinking like, yeah, haha, I get it, UFC reference because I like Conor McGregor. And then he links it to me a second time and brings it up in call, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, why are you shitting on a hobby that I like to follow, being the UFC? Like, apart from anime, I love the UFC. Like, I follow it religiously, and I'm getting shit on for having a hobby that, like, makes my life a little bit better to keep up with. It's like I said, he gets insecure when people around him are famous for knowing something well that he does not. If I said anything to that effect to him, he would have gone crazy at me. I was also told by more than one person that whenever Seth used to play chess with people, he actually got caught using a bot to cheat in chess. Yeah, that's not normal behavior. With the debate stuff aside, this is a big one that I think a lot of people are going to find very disgusting, especially the animation and art community. So in the description of almost every Seth video, and I think he's removed it from a lot of the recent videos, he has it written that he animated his own outro, which I know for a fact was done by Omar, the lead animator of Naruto vs. Ichigo, who Seth has not only abused in various calls that I was a part of, but made fun of for being mentally ill countless times. Seth has also, cringe alert, tweeted out images of him apparently doing paintings, which absolutely, definitely were not done by Omar. No, not at all. Wasn't his art. Fucking weird shit. I also knew that with Naruto versus Ichigo, I would receive absolutely zero credit for overlooking the bleach portion of the animation, which the main animator said that if it were not for me, it wouldn't have been done. Almost every single time that project was mentioned, it was all about Seth. I did this, I animated that, it was my vision, I'm talented, I suck my own cock in the mirror, etc. Here's the thing, okay? Seth has held his hand over the stove for too long, but never been burnt. Even when accused of being an actual pedophile, with inarguable proof that I never seen until recently, he still has a platform, and people just forget because he bullshits his audience so hard. This is beyond just making anime videos or YouTube content. He's legitimately a weirdo behind the scenes. I guarantee if he can, after this video, murder me, that he would definitely try and do it. That's a joke, by the way, but he... just kidding. Joke. And you guys don't have a single clue what he's like behind the scenes. He thinks you're all idiots. You're all nothing but a source of income for him. Just look at his tweets or listen to him on stream. At least I'm honest when I rage. This dude just sounds like a fucking chameleon. So I'm going to keep it straightforward and honest. Our podcast was never going to happen because our actual dynamic wasn't as good as you guys probably thought it was. When we're on stream or in videos, I'd always have to conform my personality and act to be very in support of Seth, or to carry it, or to steer the ship, in a sense. It was going to be dependent entirely on me transforming my tone to suit him as the main part of the conversation, and I couldn't see that dynamic working well with guests, to be honest. It would have been weird. When we recorded our actual episode 1, we had to scrap it because the person who engineered the audio said it sounded like it was more of the Seth show than a duo podcast, and to add to that, Seth stopped halfway through the podcast and got angry because he heard Swag Kage tweeted about the same $18,000 deal that he got, which I set up for the both of them. Think about this. Seth was so angry because Swag got a deal that I didn't get a cut or credit for. If anyone should be bothered, wouldn't it be me for not getting credit? I'm financially in a worse situation, my channel's smaller, I'm getting shafted and doing the hard work, while Swag also low-key, from what I know from Seth talking to me, doesn't like me, which could also be a lie because I could see it being beneficial of him to distance me and Swag, because then I don't have Swag to back me up if I ever complain about Seth publicly. I still did this for Swag, even while being told by Seth on the download that Swag didn't want to do a three-way podcast with me being involved, because apparently my political views were too edgy, which I would never say anything outlandish to jeopardize Swag's career or say anything that would make him uncomfortable. Seth even tried to bait us into debating politics, and we almost agreed on most things anyway, and there was nothing, like, crazy that we spoke about. Like, I thought it was a good discussion, but, like, if it made Swag dislike me, I feel bad, whatever. I have nothing but good things to say about Swag. Any shit talk I've said about Swag is just a product of trying to kiss Seth's ass to make him feel better. And it's a shame. It is a shame that it's had to go that way, but yeah, I like I said, Swag's cool, but it is what it is. I should also add, there's probably recordings he has of me negatively speaking of Swag because of him being soft and distancing himself from me, but a lot of this, again, I did on purpose because I knew that he would try and distance us, and I knew that he would always be weird to me and cool. I'll tell you something even more interesting. So I've faked a lot of my political views around Seth and debated him on some pretty spicy subjects. And the reason I did this is because no one knows this, except for my close friends and family. Your boy Clyde's actually Jewish, and I faked all my political views so that he'd try and have ammo on me. I actually, on purpose, got an Ancestry.com DNA test to show to ask yourself who was Jewish and some other people, because I was suspecting that it would get spread around to Seth. Now, whether or not he's seen it is irrelevant, but this is relevant to the fact that he used to say I was a silver-tongued shit talker who was really good at making money and my only goal was money. Looks a little bit bad when you find out about that, doesn't it? Because I tried out of pure genuineness to be a good person to Seth. But there you go, just more and more stuff I set up because I knew that he would probably either record me, lie about me, or just in general be a rat towards me. So I thought I'd do it back to him and make sure I kept hold of all the screenshots throughout this video, which I've also got plenty more in a file just in case he responds in a weird way. Swag Kage, I want to end this message for you. I know he helped you with debate stuff, and it probably seems smart to collab with Seth, but you're close to your own worst enemy and you don't even know it. He hates you for apparently having it easy and still has the recording of you conceding to him on a Naruto debate, which he has planned to put out if you ever shit-talk him. And Swag isn't the only one. Seth even had plans to expose James Hansen as a pedophile after the Tipo situation, and the only reason he is helping Six is to replace Webcam Parrot and no doubt me. I should also add, another reason he disliked Tipo so much was because Seth had told Tipo, back when they used to like pseudo-talk during him working for Seth for audio stuff, that he actually was mentally ill, which reaffirmed the claim that we had back then that he was, and that's why it was always a mental note to be like, yeah, I remember Seth admitting that back then too, and that's why he's always so hard to work with. Normally, I wouldn't like to talk about this sort of stuff because it's so, like, not okay to speak about people's, problems behind the scenes and stuff, but it does need to be spoken about because of how many people he has hurt and how he uses this as leverage to bullshit people and lie. I actually want to tell you guys this too, so I'd like to emphasize, I was the one who convinced Seth to stay away from the debate community because he's over there acting like it's lame and the community's cringe and this was like all his idea when it was me who gave him that advice because he was getting in so much trouble with bad people. Ironically, he birthed this same cringe community. It's one of the reasons he hated Famdingo so much because Famdingo used to make fun of him for being so invested in debating. He was risking fumbling thousands of dollars to be associated with people that literally wanted to murder him if they could. That's how much Seth pissed these people off. And beating him in a debate was their entire life's worth. Also, I don't even have any issues with Six. Let's be clear, I've barely even spoken to the guy. I think I've had 2 interactions with him in VC and it was real brief stuff, right? But listen to me right now, Six. I have no reason to lie to you. Be fucking careful, my friend, because if you have told this cunt anything personal, he's gonna use it against you. Your channel is doing well, but don't allow yourself to be his toy. You're nothing but a side project to him, and the amount of casual shit talk that he's done in both messages and on his stream about you should speak enough, man. Be careful.
I don't know, because Six's stepdad is
There we go.
like a fucking bum that doesn't have a job or something, but his mom is super rich, so
What
I
the
don't know
fuck, man?
how their dynamic even happened. Like, did they meet on Tinder or something? Like, how did that work out? Like,
Why are you saying
how
that?
did that like prosper? Because they didn't meet at work. You know what I mean? Like, where the did they?
I sort of also talked about this earlier, but even bragged about having roleplay messages of Chuck, which he wanted to use against Chuck to accuse him of being a pedophile, and he's known Chuck longer than any of us. The man has loyalty to one person, and that's himself. I've never actually met such a fake individual in my life. Even when he tried to reignite our friendship, its only purpose was to use me for editing or handiwork because obviously I am pretty useful. And now that he got so much flack over Naruto versus Ichigo being randomly cancelled and no one getting their money back, he took a little break while it all blew over, threatened the main animator and abused him. You can also see that since being disconnected from myself, how the content has dramatically decreased in quality from my own, which he would always tell other editors to mimic or do better. I've seen and heard countless conversations where he would try to start editor fights between like myself and MJ or what and stuff like that, and it was just like actual, it's really just depressing to think about because it's so manipulative and weird, but that's the kind of shit that he would do, like, downplay my editing in front of other people, or he would try to get others to mimic my style because it was successful and just try to replace me many a times. It's just sad. I also don't want to talk about this too much because I actually really like Cubic, but Seth bullied him so hard one time because of his flamboyant accent that Cubic cried himself to sleep when Seth was calling him a bad person and like just all this other shit. It was pretty bad. He went way too hard at him, and stuff like this was so commonplace that it was ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if Yozu and Cubic have some stories that they're too scared to share because they were actually at one stage, to my knowledge, going to get a place with Seth and then like have a sort of a YouTuber house, which Seth had offered me in the past to live with him, but the problem was, as much as I would have liked to, as friends and do the YouTube stuff together, which listen, it would have been cool, the idea, I knew that it would have gone wrong. If I got stuck in the USA or he was weird towards me in person, what the fuck would I have done? I would have been fucking stuck there, so that would have just been ridiculous, and I've been around way too many bad environments like that when I was younger, so that's the reason. I just expected it to go wrong, and like, I appreciated the sentiment very much that he said that towards me, and if he's listening to this part of the video, yeah, it does mean a lot that he even offered that, but still the point that that's how distrustful I was towards him. I just thought it would go wrong, to be honest. You might have also noticed too, the highlights channel, the Seth highlights channel that used to have my name involved. I had contact with the guy that ran the channel, so when he deleted me off Discord, Seth that is, I got him to change the title of the channel, and I helped him out with like setting the channel up so that it was for Seth, because I didn't want to be looked at as a leech. I just wanted to be away from it, so I said, yo, you should remove my name, bro. Like, I don't need to be connected to Seth anymore. And yeah, it's because he and I stopped talking, and that's that. But I also helped the channel owner build that channel because he was a pretty nice kid from, I think, Jamaica, if I remember correctly, and the YouTube money that he was receiving pretty much gave him a job, so I was really happy to help him with that and help make the thumbnails for the videos. I prepared videos to give to him for the channel itself, which was all done free of cost. Not that I expected him to pay me, but, Seth for that matter. And I did all that just to, help out not just him, but, like, get something cool going for him that he would have on the sly, and also get the cool community thing we had with he and I. But in truth, I never had any bad intentions to use Seth or fuck him over or anything that I've been accused of over the years. But I sort of do now, I guess. You know, I've had to make this stuff public because I can't live my YouTube life that I've always wanted to because of him existing on this platform and having the ability to lie and slander me at any time that he wants, while also fucking up all my YouTube friendships that I had. Because part of it too was I was so depressed that I just wanted to get away from the community, to be completely honest. And by default, you know, as a extension of the bullshit with him, there you go, that's the situation that I am in. I honestly wish I had my own personal Clyde, because life would have been 10 times better if I did have myself to edit my videos, and, you know, third person, two of me would have been cool. All he had to do, like I said, was just not be rude to me and others, but he couldn't control himself. I really sadly have to say this too, but Seth, I will make a follow-up response with way worse shit than what's in this video if you lie in your response about me, so please be careful with what you say about me in your response video or streams, because I know that you're gonna be pretty weird. You've done it plenty of times before. I personally don't think you have any integrity, so if you go on to prove me right, it's to be expected. And I should say this too, I also don't live in the same location as I did before. I did this in advance because I knew that if drama was to kick off, well, he's got my address, so he will no doubt go beyond just YouTube stuff. That's how weird of a person he can be. I just want to say this, the fact that after having so many of your friends fuck off, and also you also distancing yourself from them and then blaming it on them, it's just embarrassing that you haven't grown as a grown man at all. You haven't improved at all. Like, it's embarrassing. It's crazy too, because I still get comments all the time like, yo, you beg Seth for rent money, and it's like, no, I actually asked him for money because I was working for him 24/7 to the point where I couldn't even make my own videos consistently. That's the truth. I'd burn myself out, and the last thing I want to do is make one of my videos. I used to hate myself having to upload a sponsor video with a sponsor on it, because I was so backlogged with videos and so far behind on my own content and had bills to pay that I was screwed. Like, with all the work that I did, like 24/7 doing stuff for him, let's be real, I could have asked for more, and I never did. In 2021, Seth even offered me more money after he'd already paid me that same year, but I turned it down because I didn't want to get into more debt with him. I hated f***ing working with him. Yet, he'll still claim I was motivated by money. It shows you how oblivious he is to anyone's problems other than his own. It's also funny how he claims he could have made it without me, even though he asked me to supervise his Goku Power Scale Mammoth video, like the whole hour portion that Chuck did to make sure it was done right. And he said himself that he only trusted me to supervise the Star Wars video, which I think someone called Crisis worked on. He wanted me to make sure that it was me that had the final say on the video. So he obviously did have high expectations of my ability to look after his videos, because I clearly treated them really fucking well. I put so much work into them that I literally, if I had enough time, I made them as good as my own. Goku vs Superman, the Kratos videos, Goku vs Saitama, the Death Note content, bro, I made those videos so good for him because I wanted him to be happy. I did a lot of it out of pure passion. If he was nicer, we'd probably still be working together. All I wanted was for him to respect my wishes, show people a bit more respect in general. And I don't mean like lick ass or look up to others. It's just pure baseline respect like you'd give anybody else, right? As long as he rolled back the tone, which he improved a little bit, but it was still there all the fucking time, we'd probably still be working together. I mean, look at how I'm spoken about so nonchalantly on stream. I always go out of my way to hide stuff about him on stream. I always tell people not to speak about him badly in my server, in private. These are people who have their own opinions about him, but I do it because I'm like, yo, don't even do that by extension. I don't want any association with shit talk about him, James, or anyone. With James, I've even tried to stop it even more recently too, because a lot of his server doesn't like me, which is whatever. But that's what I'm saying. I'll try my very best to go out of my way to do little things like this for my friends because I want the best for them. I really did want to avoid this drama like an adult and just move on and act like it didn't even happen, but I sadly, again, I've been forced to make this video. If you're ever surprised why I delete my videos all the time too, or tweets, it's because sponsors pay based on views on your most recent video. So if I have a video that bombs or doesn't perform well, I have to get rid of it because I'll get lowballed by a sponsor, and these sponsors sometimes are the difference between me going homeless and me paying my bills. That's how bad I've been in situations before. Also, with my current mental health, right, if I'd upload a half-assed video, I would hate myself for doing it, and I'd just get rid of the video. So, I juggle his channel, my channel, I have to rush videos, I have no motivation to edit, I'm literally suffering all the time, I'm sick as fuck because I have no fucking energy from bad sleep, right, I'm getting slandered all the time, it's 24/7, get in call, let's hang out, if you don't now, I'm suspect of you, if one of your friends says something, I automatically equate that to being Clyde doing it, all the time, that's how it was. I also got rid of multiple of my social media accounts, sometimes caused by bans and hacking, there actually was some fucked up ones. Like, my Discord account was randomly sending people friends requests, the last one that I had, so I had to get rid of that, which was very fucking scary. But I deleted a lot of them because, to be honest, my mental health was so bad, I was gonna delete these social media accounts and just off myself. I even had a couple times where I had like an ex-girlfriend reach out, and it just set me off so bad that I just wanted to get away from everything so much. I cut off so many people, that's the truth. When he and I stopped talking, I had to make a completely new Twitter and Instagram to purge all connection with him. If you guys could, by the way, follow my social media to help me regrow those, I'd actually appreciate that, because I've destroyed so much of my stuff outside of videos for the sake of this fucking stupid relationship that I've had with him over the course of the years. And also, if you want to reach out to me for any reason, my business email is in the about section on my channel. The same goes with my other social media. I don't like to reply on Instagram to people, but you're more than welcome to do that. To give you guys further context on what I was dealing with while editing for Seth, there was even times where I had to end my streams early due to heart pain that I was experiencing from overworking and my sleep issues. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting to have a random heart attack almost every day. That's how consistent it was. It also runs in the family too, because my great-grandfather died of a heart attack, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I've been pretty scared sometimes where I've woken up with heart pain because of this stress and overworking. Since then, I have been taking medication and supplements that assist with cardiovascular stuff, which I actually have seen improvement with, and the fact that I don't work with Seth has definitely reduced a lot of my stress. There are some times, man, where I'd have drama with him and I wouldn't even be able to sleep properly. It was just ridiculous. Anyone who knows me personally has known the bullshit that's gone on behind the scenes and how stressful this has been. I'm not gonna lie, I've been a bit of a bitch about it too. I should have stood up way longer ago and did something for people, because there's so many other people who've had worse experiences than me. Like, I still regret, as an example, the absolute, like, shit talk that H2 Mass received in VC, and all the other people that I went out of my way to be an asshole to for the sake of defending Seth's fucking honor. Which, from what I know, he barely even fucking, like, took note of that, nor anyone else that fights for him to the death like Aeroflame or Noodles has. Noodles used to go into random servers and debate like 50 people just to get payback for Seth. That's the kind of guy he was. And Seth had been making him do that since he was like 16 years old. I wanted to leave this YouTube stuff, move on, and avoid drama, but that's the weak way out. And I know a lot of people are counting on someone helping them get their voices heard. And you guys deserve the truth, because one thing I didn't get into YouTube for was to lie to you guys and have this fake career. I can't make the videos I want to do. I can't stream when I want to. I have to be careful all the time with starting drama with him. This shit I have slaved away at since I was 12 years old, when I had nothing and I was getting abused almost every day by my stepfather and my schizophrenic mother, right? All this shit that I've been through. All the problems with girls when I was younger, when it comes to relationship stuff, all the fucking family-related bullshit, all the violence, all the degeneracy I was around when I was younger, and I've still worked my fucking ass off and been a loyal motherfucker to this guy, and still nobody knows the situation whatsoever. They don't know anything. They just know me as, oh, he edited for Seth and he begged him for rent money. That's what I've come down to as a human being, instead of someone that was selfless and gave their all to Seth even while he was fucking shitting on my livelihood and my credibility all the fucking time on a moment's notice, just to get a laugh out of the comments on his fucking Twitch streams. No wonder I'm so damn fucking angry with this bullshit with how long I put up with it for. He won't feel bad about this. He'll just think of ways of like, how can I avoid this drama and twist it to make Clyde look bad. He won't look at this and think, wow, what if I apologize and try to remedy things? What if I try to be a normal human being? There is a bigger picture here than just a couple shoutouts and $35,000. I would have never done this in retrospect for $100,000, dude. Like, I wanted out so much, and the ways I was trying to get out of it by getting money from people to pay him back was ridiculous. I was so desperate to get out of this, and no one had my back whatsoever, except people that I knew on Discord and in person that didn't have platforms to be able to back me up. Like I said, there's definitely worse stuff out there than what I know. I even have major regrets for not being more attentive during the satire ordeal because she got buried by his lies. Now, I know Bucky probably doesn't like me, but I also don't really care to associate with him. However, his sister, you know, she definitely got thrown under the bus big time. And there's also someone called Fervin, who also had some bad experiences with Seth, and I'm sure that they're not the last ones too. And yeah, I know for a fact if I go digging into some old hard drives, I'll find a lot of bad stuff, but I honestly, again, I didn't want to make this video, but I have to because my life's work and all the bullshit I've been through is on the line here. Many of you might say that I could take care of this in private, but the last time I did, he deleted me, and anytime I have done it in the past, he doesn't listen. He literally won't take accountability for anything that he does, and it's exhausting to deal with. My biggest regret is how much work I put into his channel when I should have just focused on my own, because hypothetical different reality Seth is probably at like 300,000 subscribers right now. He might get lucky with a couple bangers and maybe he got to like 400k, but let's be real, I carried that channel. Looking back, I essentially built my own biggest enemy out of blindness and loyalty to someone that, because they gave me some pocket change, I thought they were treating me better than anyone else had in the past. I've been recording so long on this video that I've even lost my voice so far, which is really annoying, but I never got into this to be an editor. I did a lot of this because I liked the guy, and I was way too appreciative of his financial help, which most think I was underpaid for because of how much it went just beyond editing. Recording debates, editing Twitch streams, being available 24/7, being his assistant with emails, deals, IRL stuff, thumbnails, titles, mental health stuff, ignoring my own channel, literally neglecting my life's work. If I could go back in time, I would definitely get younger me to delete him off Discord, and I would have tried to find a different way to succeed, even if it was the fucking hard road. It would have been better than this bullshit. This way, I would have never needed to worry about being paid by him. My work would have never given him a false ego. I would have taught myself how to edit these big Bleach videos like I did. That's funny too. A lot of people don't know that. I'm self-taught in everything that I've done, from titles, thumbnails, YouTube sort of marketing stuff. I taught myself all this shit. And Swag Kage did help me out a lot. So I do want to emphasize the part of my YouTube success to him too, which he, a lot of people don't know, but yeah, he did help me out a lot, and he was really cool to work with. I actually got my first sponsorship deal while working with Swag, which is something that I'll always remember. Was a really fun time when we had the fidget spinners, so it was a good time. And it's just a shame that during a time period where I should have been enjoying YouTube more than anything, and growing with these guys and having a good time, it was the worst time of my life. I did all of this while extremely depressed with this constant antagonization, and the most commonly asked question I always get is, why do you upload so rarely? And now you guys know. I don't even have the energy to stream because I had to keep all this stuff to myself, and I have to be fake on stream. I have to literally hide the truth from you guys all the time and pretend that I'm like okay, when in truth I'm sitting here stressed as all the damn time. I'm not the first, I won't be the last. I dealt with this and tried my very best to ignore the drama in a very mature way, while realizing that being his best friend was very toxic, and I thought that, hey, if there's one person that might get, that might get a bit of leeway here and he might treat differently, it would be me, of all people. Relatable childhood, countless fucking endless calls, which we had super deep conversations. All the time I put my blood, sweat, and tears into his work, thinking that he would appreciate it beyond just a bit of payment, which it was never for that. I just needed the assistance financially, and it's like pretty clear, like, yo, dude, I got a smaller channel than yours. You're aware of how my life is. Yo, sling me some fucking dough every now and then, right? Which, yeah, he did, but he always made it a much bigger deal than it fucking was. I even bought this man a fucking Fate Stay Night figure that was like $1,000, give or take, in Australian dollars, because I wanted him to have a nice gift that I thought, like, he'd appreciate, And, like, at the time he did, and he like, bragged about it and stuff, but, like, he probably, like, looks at that and he's like, oh, that fucking rat Clyde that bought me that, fuck him. That's probably his mindset about it now, when in reality, like, I did it because I fucking cared about the dude. Like, even doing small shit, like occasionally trying to gift him a game, like Elden Ring, when I had spare money because I knew it would mean a lot to him. I did that shit to show him I was trying to be someone that was not like all the other people who'd apparently f***ed him over in his life. I have every reason to be just as paranoid as he is about everybody else out there in the world that's f***ed me over. I've still been able to avoid that delusion and know that, like, there is a little bit of good in the world, regardless of how shit my life was. Like, when I was 11 years old, as an example, man, and this is depressing to admit, I tried to fucking kill myself with a PlayStation controller because my fucking stepfather would abuse me so much that I'd be trapped in my room and I couldn't do anything about it. That's how badly I wanted out, and no one helped me as a kid. All I wanted to do was enjoy the Bleach return. I waited 10 years for it. I wanted to make videos, pursue my manga story, and live a normal life. That's all I wanted, was to just live a normal fucking life and do YouTube. But to anyone I was an arsehole to in the past, especially during my worst of times, I'm very sorry. I apologize, whether it was a debate, YouTube comment, stream, or cut anyone off for any reason. I do apologize. Thanks to those of you who listened to what I had to say in this video. I'm risking a lot here, but I'm at least not going to die one day until people hear my side. I know that a lot of you have a brain and can read between the lines. Like I said, I've fucked up a lot of YouTube opportunities. I can't collab with my old friends. I lost a lot of love for this stuff, and I've been a cunt towards many people, which was genuinely a byproduct of my surroundings and community. But I am sorry to those of you out there who I may have hurt in the past, and I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I should have done this for others, but I honestly thought I was going in alone.